welcome back to Obedient Warrior. I just want to take a moment to kind of explain some future format stuff. So, we're going to continue to do the episodes like we've been doing, but then from this point forward, also going to introduce interviews into the mix. Um, Primarily have a focus on first responders, so police, fire, medics, maybe even military guys. But we want to get people's stories out there because there's just a reality I know for me in my own life when look out onto somebody's life and I see how they dealt with certain obstacles and certain challenges and just whatever it may be, there's so much power in people's stories. And for me, that's done so much in my own life to hear guys, just talk about life and their career and their personal life and their family and their upbringing and the challenges ultimately that they have faced. So we are going to, from here forward, kind of occasionally introduce interviews into the mix. And with that being said, if you know someone, particularly in the first responder community, like I said, maybe even military community, that has a story, you can reach out to us. Obviously, as long as they're willing, maybe to do something like that. I know that's kind of a step of faith for a lot of people, but you can reach out to us info@obedientwarrior.com. Also, hit us up on Facebook through Messenger. Um, but yeah, so we'll continue to do the episodes like we've been doing, but also introduce interview story format episodes into Obedient Warrior. And so today's interview is a little unique. It's a little bit outside of that first responder format. However, this is a story I absolutely could not pass up the opportunity to sit down with Zach, as you will see and hear his story. We met when I was putting him in handcuffs and chasing him around, vehicle pursuits and search warrants and all this kind of stuff. And so, been a cop for so long, and I cannot think of any other actual true like story of redemption that I've been able to witness firsthand because it's so rare and it's so unique. Um, Especially you cops, you know that. And so took this opportunity to sit down and just lay his life out, some curiosity stuff, right? We get to see, you know, tweakers and dopers and stuff on a daily basis, but to hear it from their side and then to see how God truly, redeemed him, redeemed his family, redeemed his relationships, his vocation, all this, from multi-time convicted felon to a guy that me and the officers I work with regularly interact with on the other side of the law and get to know him now as really as a friend. So such a unique story, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's just start here. Man, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
thankful for you doing this. I know you're taking time out from your family and life in general. And um, I think, the biggest thing is like I've been a cop for 15 years.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single person that I've dealt with on the streets that like I would invite into my own home to sit down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and there'll be cops and people that listen to this, like they'll been a cop for 30 years and they won't have one
Yeah, for
face
sure.
in mind of somebody that they would invite over to their house to sit
Yeah.
down and talk to them. It's just such a rare opportunity. And like, man, I just wanted to capture your story. Um, why don't I know we had an opportunity, a week or so ago to sit down a little bit,
Yeah.
and kind of talk, but let's go back to like childhood. Like what does childhood look like for you?
Uh, so I think my parents were together. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure they were together when I was born, but they split at such a young age that I don't even remember them being together. They were married. I can't even tell you how long they were married, but I've always been in a divorce. I don't even remember the divorce or anything like that, but then I moved. And I would say the moment that I can remember memories at such a young age, my mom was with um, her boyfriend that she was with, I think, for a while, um, and wasn't the best upbringing. I would say wasn't the best situation. We were in, I think, like a single wide trailer. Uh, just your typical, rough
Yeah.
trailer, rough area, rough little neighborhood that I was in. So, our electric didn't work the best. Our water didn't work. We'd have to go to the neighbors with milk jugs and fill them up and come back. Cockroaches were like our number one pets. Uh, and I just say that because we had so there was three of us boys in there.
Okay.
My mom, her boyfriend, and then we had 5 dogs, and I don't know, maybe 10,000 cockroaches with
Yeah.
us. So it was a busy house. Uh, but yeah, it was a little rough. I would say that for sure.
Sure. So so 3 brothers, where do you fall into that?
I am there's 5 of us on my
Okay.
dad's. So
Okay.
there's 2 that my dad had prior to my mom.
Okay.
So there's 3 full. There's 3 of us. I am the youngest of all 5, to be honest. But the 3 full, yeah, they're the ones that at the beginning we all lived together, but it didn't last long.
Okay.
My one brother that is older, that it'd be the middle one out of the 3 of us. He moved to dad's, and then later on, my oldest brother out of the 3 of us moved to dad's too.
Okay. So would you say, I know you mentioned mom's boyfriend, was that, were boyfriends kind of rotating in and out, like men rotating in and
Uh,
out?
Not at that time.
Okay.
I mean, later on, yeah.
Okay.
But I was also at the innocent part of life, or I didn't quite understand. Obviously, now that I'm an adult, I
Yeah.
can probably put 2 and 2 together. But at the time, it was just one.
Mhm.
Uh, they were together till I think from when I was a baby to 3rd grade, 2nd grade, somewhere
Okay.
around in there.
Do you feel like, obviously, so you mentioned, getting water at the neighbor's house, and
Yeah,
did you guys, I can't remember, do you guys say that you had electricity or did not have electricity?
we did.
Okay.
It was a junk trailer. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
It was rough. It's actually not even there. It must have got torn down. I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. But it was super cool to drive by, show my oldest and stuff like that. It was like, hey,
Yeah.
check this out. It's pretty wild.
What
But
was that like?
I mean, no, it is wild to think of where I was and where I am today. But I think it would be a different experience because obviously in the time that I was taking him, I wasn't who I am today.
Okay.
I think if I could take him now
Hmm.
and he could see that, then it would mean a little bit more to me and probably even to him
Sure.
of just how good life is.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it was the water thing is funny because my kids now complain about the little chores they had,
Sure.
and there could be 4 foot of snow out,
Yeah.
and the parents got to stay inside warm. We were the ones that walked.
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe 50 yards, 60 yards to a house and fill up from their water. We'd each. I was the youngest one, so I only had 2. And then my oldest brothers, they would have maybe carrying 3, and then, so on and so on. But yeah, doing that at, 9 o'clock at night, pitch black, freezing cold, and you're trying to carry water so
Yeah.
you can start your actual chores.
So obviously, what I would think of as a lot of instability. Um, was there anything stable around you or in the household that you felt like you could at least kind of cling to?
I would say my brothers
Okay.
for sure. Whether it was I mean, there's probably at the time I could cling to my mom.
Hmm.
That was the one that I felt like when the abuse got a little out of control,
Hmm.
she would I always remembered she would speak up,
Hmm.
so it was a little bit of, I never clinged to him.
Yeah.
It was my mom or my brothers.
Yeah.
Uh, my grandparents were something that was a positive thing. Now I didn't get to go there much.
Were they in that area?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Uh, Maybe 5-10 minutes away.
Okay.
In just a neighboring town.
Mhm.
But Yeah, they were super positive. Like I'd go to my grandpa's and he was into little motors, and that basically is what started my thing here of, my career is I'm a mechanic now.
Yeah.
I've been working on things since I was a young kid, and that's basically, I feel like, is where it started.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I had tons of things to cling to and think were positive at that age. Now that I am, the age I am today, and I look back and it's like, it's pretty wild the things that I probably did cling to or thought was okay. But
Sure.
I would say the way of living was way different back then than it is today.
Yeah. What were some of like your earliest memories that stand out?
Uh, it's usually has to do with like pain, like getting
Pain.
messed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know. I remember so much of the crazy thing is I remember all the wild things.
Okay.
Like I don't remember really a lot of good, uh, which is crazy to think. Like, we would maybe go to McDonald's. That was like the, hoorah of
Yeah,
our,
like a big event.
yeah. So it was, but the memories are of like my brothers. Basically, I was the youngest of
Mhm.
three, so I got tore up. I mean, just absolutely torched.
Yeah.
Uh, there was times like I remember we were BB guns. We were running around. My brothers would lock me out of the house and make me crap my pants
Yeah.
because I couldn't catch them. They're like, "Hey, you can't go inside and go to the bathroom until you catch me." And there's times where uh, they'd have BB guns, tell me go run, or they're gonna shoot me. So I was hiding behind this one time. I was hiding behind this dog house or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just like teeing off on me on these BB guns. And one shot me right in the back and stuck me. And they would pick it out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one time they're like, "Hey, go down across the yard, and I promise I'll just one pump you." We had these little Ruger guns or
Mm-hmm.
whatever they were, little Red Man guns or something. He's like, "Yeah, well, he pumped it once in front of me, but he already pumped it about 30 times when I wasn't watching."
Yeah.
So, man, dude, smoked me with that BB gun. But there was just, I mean, multiple times of uh, just getting messed up, really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's times where we would play monkey in the middle, like, because there was no babysitters. I remember some babysitters coming in and out, but it got to the point where basically our our parents at the time would dip off and we're just home. We'd just hang out in
Yeah.
the little area that we were in. But we were playing monkey in the middle one time, and obviously I was always in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I finally get out, and I'm like, yes. I remember being so excited to get out. Well, I can't remember which one was in the middle, but I know I was super stoked. I was like, yeah, I'm part of the team now. Hey, I throw this football as hard as I could, and we're playing in a single wide hallway.
Okay.
It's like maybe, I don't know, 2.5 foot wide, 3 foot wide. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've been in
Oh, I've
single
been in
wide, so
plenty of them. Yeah.
it's like shoulder to shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a room in the center, and then my parents' room were at the rear, and then the front room was on the other end. So I get this football and I just launch it as hard as I can. The one brother dipped into the bedroom, the other jumped on the ground, and this ball goes straight through my mom's all glass carryout cabinet.
Okay.
Shatters. And it was obviously intentional.
Yeah.
And they weren't home, and I remember just standing there like a deer in headlights, and then I just start screaming, like, because I know I was in some big trouble when they got home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely remember it. It's usually like messed up stuff. Like I got messed up most of the time.
It's like you mentioned abuse there.
Oh
Like
yeah.
what did that look like?
So whippings. There's times where like extension cords, fan belts off cars or lawnmowers, stuff like that, paddles with holes drilled in them. And there weren't like, when I mean whippings, I'm talking about like grown men just reaching back and just hammering somebody. There was times where I remember like all three of us brothers were like, "Oh man, we're all cooked. We're getting whipped." And he would come home and he would literally like go to the bathroom or go to the bedroom, get out of his work clothes. All right, boys, you're going to line up. You're going to get it. And like, we know we are. So we'd all
Mhm.
go to the bathroom. And I remember like memories with just both of them. We're like trying to stuff each other's pants with toilet paper
Mhm.
because we know what's coming.
Mhm.
And there was a time to where we got busted doing that. And then it was just all downhill from there. Cause then it
Yeah.
was just, bare cheeks from there.
Sure.
But yeah, no, a whipping today to me is way different. I mean,
Yeah.
just draw back as far as he would and just hammer you. And it wouldn't just be one, it would be 3, 4, 5, however many. And we could never figure out in line where do you want to be. Usually you
Mhm.
don't want to be the first one.
Mhm.
And that's where I was because that's just, he's ready to rock at that
Mhm.
point.
And do you feel like, when I see kids that are in like abusive situations and stuff, or even wives as well, like just had someone the other day, domestic violence
Yeah.
situation, and they're like, I just never know like what's going to set him off. Was
Yeah.
it kind of like
Oh,
that feeling?
oh, for sure. I mean, obviously, there was things I did intentional that I
Hmm.
knew what was coming, but this is the part of like how deep I was into it to where I knew what was coming. If I got caught, I just didn't like him. So it was
Yeah.
like I'm doing it anyways. But there's days to where like how me and you would have mood swings or hey,
Sure.
we're a little grumpy today. Well, when you're in an abusive situation and they're a little grumpy that day, you're getting it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no right thing that you could do to somebody that is an abusive mindset because you're walking on eggshells and they're the ones that's going to predict how your day is going to go. You're
Hmm.
not predicting how their day's going. And that's the messed up part about it. And I don't know if it's like I feel like the same as, cause most of the time it's men hitting the women, not all the times.
Hmm.
I've known situations where it's the other way
Sure.
around. Normally it's the men on the women thing. I get that, but I feel like it's similar to a parent doing it to the child and it's a power trip.
Yeah.
Like, you have authority over somebody, you're bigger, you're badder,
Sure.
not thinking the fact that, hey, this person is 6 years old. It's like I have 4 kids.
Hmm.
I have a 6-year-old about to be 7. I cannot picture me or even thinking like, hey, come in here, get ready, get a whooping, and me just draw back as hard as I could and just crack them.
Yeah.
I mean, that just to me, I can't wrap my mind around that.
Hmm.
Even in the bad life that I've lived and stuff, it just don't make no sense to me.
Yeah. Was your mom getting beaten and stuff
Oh
too?
yeah, there was times where like I remember mom would be like, hey, you're getting whipped when he gets here. But there's always, I can't remember where the fine line was. It
Hmm.
should have been, hey, they've had enough after the first crack,
Hmm.
or like, hey, don't crack them like that. But I remember multiple times to where he's just like anybody that has anger problems or abusive where they lose control. They
Hmm.
can. It's very easy to do. Um, but he would, and she'd be like, all right, they've had enough. That's enough. And he'd basically tell her to shut up or she'll get it. And there's
Hmm.
times where she did get it.
Hmm.
Uh, but I remember there's times, craziest thing is I can't imagine. I just always, now that I have kids, I always put myself in their shoes and how I was feeling at that time. I can't imagine my kids going through that. But there was times where like he would just lose it and start beating everybody in the house. And one time he was beating my mom and beating us. And basically we ran to the house that we'd always get water from.
Hmm.
And all 3 of us, I think it was all 3 boys. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember how many of us. I'm pretty sure it was all 3 of us and my mom. I mean, we're running out of our own house that we're supposed to, we live
Yeah.
in from one person. And I remember running down. So we lived kind of at a top of a hill and you'd kind of like transition and then down further to where the other house was.
Hmm.
And I remember we were running there, didn't know if they were home, didn't care. Barged straight into their house. Nobody was home. I mean, we're running through the house. I remember, obviously, I'm the youngest. I'm the slowest.
Hmm.
I don't think they really cared whether I made it there or not because we run in this house. Those 3 run into the bathroom, slam the door, lock it, and I start beating on it. Let me in, let me in, let me in. Well, he's like hot on our tail at that point. And I remember they never let me in. So I ran to another bedroom that was around an open door kind of concept. There was no door.
Mhm.
It was just a wide open area. I remember hiding behind that, and behind these curtains, I'm just sitting there and I can hear him just banging on the door, trying to get in, let me in, I'm going to kill you, all this stuff, trying to find me. I think he heard that I wasn't in there, but I
Mhm.
can hear him ruffling through stuff and just like a man on a mission to really cause some pain. But yeah, that was one time that I remember, um, where like we were all getting it at once.
Did you ever have a time, like, at a certain age where you felt like maybe that wasn't what was happening in all of your friends' homes?
Um, there, so I didn't really have friends, I
Okay.
guess, growing up. Like there was people, I don't know, the judgmental obviously would come in, like judging.
Sure.
Uh, like my school pictures was dirty clothes. I mean, you can see them in my school pictures: dirty clothes, hair's jacked, had a mullet, shoes that were twice as big because they were from my oldest brother, but new to me.
Mhm.
So there's always, I didn't have like friends
Mhm.
that had any other kind of upbringing than what I did. We kind of stayed to friends in our little area. I don't even know it's I don't even know what you
Yeah.
call that
Yeah.
area I grew
Yeah.
up.
Just a small town.
Yeah, but yeah, there was kids beside us that probably got it just as bad, maybe a little worse. I'm not really sure.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was normal. Like we would laugh at them when they're getting their tails whipped, and they'd
Mhm.
laugh at us when, because we would get it in the front yard.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no shame in what they were doing. I mean, but we would laugh at each other, but I didn't know any other way.
Yeah.
So the lives that we live today,
Mhm.
they weren't even a dream because I never knew about them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Were the police involved at all?
no,
No.
no.
Just kind of that don't call. Nobody's not even thinking about
Oh yeah,
calling
oh
or
yeah. You didn't even. And the wild thing is, obviously, I was raised to, not be a rat. Don't
Mhm.
tell, what's going on at home. If somebody asks, I'm okay. You know what I mean? Kind of life, because any child should obviously bring that to somebody's attention right away. Uh, I would never, just because I don't know if it was implanted in my head at the time that nothing's going to happen. And then when I get home, I'm getting whipped even harder.
Mhm.
Obviously, I would say it's fear,
Sure.
that if I tell, that I got to live there and I'm going to get it worse. I would imagine. I mean, it's hard to tell what was going through my head at that age, but I would imagine it was beaten into me to not say anything. I mean, there was times where I didn't go to school because I was, you know, whipped so hard.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
As you got older, um, again, I'm not, I've never been in those shoes,
yeah.
right? So I'm just like thinking back. Did you ever have times where like you kind of blamed maybe other people in your life for not protecting you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, not at the time. Uh, I would say now because I'm mature. I can
Mhm.
understand. I can process feelings. I've went through an enormous amount in a lifetime that I've lived.
Mhm.
But I would say, yeah, my father,
Mhm.
uh, because I'm such a protective person. Uh, like there's no way I would ever let anyone do that to my kids.
So your biological father.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Did you feel like he knew what was going on?
we've told him before.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Um, as serious. I don't think he knew how serious it was. But I do remember we did tell him, like, hey,
Mhm.
and he called my mom and be like, hey, I don't understand why, he's whipping them or putting his hands on my kids and all that stuff. And basically my mom, probably told him, screw off or whatever. She had custody at that time.
Mhm.
But he was a good dad, never raised a hand. Scream at us is all he would do. Didn't
Mhm.
have much rules, but his, the life that he worked for the city for, like 35, 36 years.
Mhm.
He had a nicer home, nicer living, uh, not as wild or, abusive, none of that stuff. But
Did you
yeah,
guys see him very often?
every other weekend I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
Uh, so it was like a vacation,
Mhm.
you get out of there, but man, it's time to go home Sunday. But the crazy thing is like, I mean, I did enjoy where I was. That's
Mhm.
what's wild is um, the craziness.
Because it's all you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't like every time I went to my dad's, please don't take me back home.
Mhm.
I was never like that. I
Yeah.
mean, I did in later in life. I was like, dude, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said that earlier, but like that's all you knew. Like I think about, I remember one time, my kids were, probably just a couple of years ago. So my kids are old enough,
Yeah.
to communicate, and we've got this relationship and serve a search warrant on a house. Like, we're there, we're in force and number. It's loud, it's chaotic, and get inside, and this kid's is on the couch on his phone playing a game.
Yeah.
Never even looked up at me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, obviously we'd been to that house so many times, but it was like, yeah, well, it was just normal for that kid.
Yeah, for sure.
And he has no understanding of what life could be like. What did you see any substance abuse in the house?
Uh, I knew like they would always go to their back room or I don't know what drugs they were using, but I knew they were using for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Because there was like us growing up is we were forced outside. It was go play.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we ran all over our neighborhood. We were in the woods. We were riding logs down the river,
Mm-hmm.
down this little waterfall. I mean, we were doing some stuff that there's no way I'd let my
Yeah.
kids out.
Yeah.
I don't let my kids leave my yard.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, there was definitely drugs have always been a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Any alcohol mixed in there with?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was a time where mom got smacked by a train, uh, leaving leaving a place and just blew a T. Somehow made it up on this tracks. It's like, dude, if you seen it, it's like, dude, a 4x4 wouldn't get up there. Somehow
Yeah.
she got up there and teetered it, got out of the car, and then the train wiped out the car. And I think like all of our Christmas stuff was in it, so we didn't get Christmas. Like Christmas to us and stuff was like churches dropping stuff off, our grandma.
Mm-hmm.
That was what Christmas was about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, partying, big scene. I mean, we would go to like um to the neighbor's house and stuff, like people drinking, hooting and hollering, riding four wheelers, drunk. I remember this one. We went to a Halloween party. This guy's on this four wheeler with a little wagon, little yard wagon. I don't know, there's probably 7, 8 of us kids. Kids are on the four wheeler, on the front rack, on the rear rack,
Mm-hmm.
all in the thing. And this airhead goes up and he's intoxicated. He tries to go up this steep hill in like third, fourth gear. Well, it bogs down. There's no power. So,
Mm-hmm.
because he's just putting, we get about halfway, 3/4 up this hill. And this dude tries to roll it back instead of just holding on the brakes and letting everybody off. Jackknifes it, flips every one of us out of that. I mean, and that was
Yeah.
part of it. It wasn't like, oh man, don't let my kid in that, no, don't be around that.
Just
No,
do
that was
whatever
just
you want.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd be out partying and they would always go in this garage. Obviously it was drugs. But they would always go in there. We'd have to be out in the yard partying. And there could be like 6 different families show up at the same time. And they would always go in there. Never even knew what the inside of that place looked like. But I've been there a million times. Never knew what was in that garage because you weren't allowed there. So I don't know. Who knows what was going on in there, to be honest.
Yeah, it always does amaze me to like, and honestly, it's even a smaller percentage of like kids in the houses. So if we go to 100 houses, I might find 5 houses like this. But you see the kids, you see a 4-year-old and having a 4-year-old, and then you see this kid, he acts like he's 12
Yeah.
because he's lived so much life.
Oh,
He's
for
had to
sure.
figure life out on his own. He's had zero supervision. So like he learned how to don't cross the street without looking on his own kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
So like kind of this phase of that we've kind of been talking about here, like what's kind of the next phase that you remember? Is it junior high? Is it high school? Is it what's it look like?
I would say the next phase was like mom eventually did leave them.
Okay.
But there was a time in that period to where I believe she did leave him. We moved to a town that's probably maybe 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away.
Okay.
So we moved there, but there was a time, and in that transition, we moved to that house. There was a couple times where we were basically homeless,
Hmm.
no place to sleep. I remember, sleeping in a truck, and that's when. So, well, back it up. So, um, I would say before my mom left and my middle brother left, went and moved and lived with my dad. Um, and he always, he was getting all the Xboxes, PlayStation, cool stuff like that we
Hmm.
never got. And then, but when she left him, then my oldest brother dipped out. So it was just me, about third grade. And that's basically when we became homeless, sleeping in a vehicle. My oldest brother said, I'm out. I'm going to my dad's.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think at the time I was scared to leave my mom because here she is, she was in an abusive area. I'm not saying what she did or allowed to have done to us was okay, because it wasn't.
Hmm.
But there was some part of me that I didn't want to leave my mom
Sure.
because I thought she would kill herself. I
Hmm.
mean, she ain't got nothing else to live for. Um, and she would always kind of tell me that, like, you're all I got. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have you. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have you. Just kind of stuff like that, which I would imagine at a young age. I don't know if it was manipulation or I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know her.
Probably both,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I don't know her tactics behind it.
Hmm.
Uh,
So this is third, fourth, fifth grade,
yep.
that
This,
time frame?
this is like, leaving second, going into third.
Okay. Like, what
So
was that like? I mean, if you even can remember, like, what was it like to carry the weight? Like, you're right here, grown man saying,
yeah.
"Man, I didn't want my mom to kill herself,
Oh,
so I
it's
stayed there."
heavy. I still carry weight. I've always been. I don't know if it. I think it's a lot of it of what I've been through, but I've always worried about other people. I
Hmm.
would rather take the beating than my brothers.
Hmm.
I would rather take the pain and the heartache and the stress than anyone else around me. I've always been that guy. Uh, but it's always been heavy. Like, cause I don't know how else to live. I've lived at such a young age. Like you said, you see this 4-year-old that acts like a 12-year-old.
Hmm.
I tell my kids all the time, man, at your age, I was doing this, I was doing that.
Hmm.
But now that I sit back and think about it, like I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Like you should just be your age and have fun and be a kid and don't worry about nothing. Uh, but yeah, it was. I mean, I would say looking at it now, I felt probably trapped or forced to where such a heavy thing of it would be my fault if I left and my mom died.
Hmm.
So I never did leave her until like I think when I was 16, maybe
Okay.
15.
So here you guys are in this kind of living out of a car. What's that look like?
I remember it wasn't long. We didn't live out of it long, but I remember like, our cars growing up didn't have heat. Like we'd use this little cigarette thing and then throw the little portable heater, be scraping windows on the
Hmm.
way to school. Uh, but I remember like a couple times, like I took showers and stuff and did the old sink washes in
Hmm.
subways.
Yeah.
Uh, because the area we were in, that's really all we had. I mean, it
So
wasn't it wasn't long, but yeah, I remember it.
were you in school at this time? Were
Yeah.
you skipping
Yep.
school? Were you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I already left the school that I was at prior and I was in a newer school. Well, basically what happened was my mom moved in with this friend and it kind of just went south. And then we were screwed. Didn't
Hmm.
have anywhere to go. But yeah.
So then eventually was she working at all at the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. She's always been a worker.
Okay.
I don't know where the money went, to be
Hmm.
honest. I don't know. Maybe it was hard. I really can't speak for that.
Hmm.
I don't think I don't know. I can't even say I don't think she was in drugs because I really don't know.
Hmm.
Uh,
We'll kind of come back to this area here, but like, what's your relationship with mom look like now?
it's good. Like I
Hmm.
love my mom.
Yeah.
Um, I wish our relationship was a little bit better. I wish we could talk about like, the past, and I hate where she's at in life at
Hmm.
the age she is. I wish she was a lot further or, because she's single, lives by herself, works a factory job. There's no end game for
Mhm.
her. There's no retirement or anything like that.
Hmm. So, like, obviously, and we'll get to these parts of your story, but you've lived in the trenches of society,
Yeah,
right? That's where
yeah.
you and I met, and and yet you've seen a different side. So, like, looking back to your mom when she's driving you around in a car and you guys are scraping windows, like, what would you today want to say back to that person?
Uh, I would say like back to me as a
No,
person
to
or to
her.
my mom.
Yeah, to someone that's like in that type of situation.
I don't know. I wish she would used the help that she had because I had grandparents,
Hmm.
had great grandparents with a home, everything like that. Aunts, uncles, or something. Or I would imagine she made some poor decisions
Hmm.
that led us there.
Hmm.
Uh, I think I constantly say, I guess she did the best she could in the situation that she was in
Hmm.
or the person that she is. Um, because there's always things that me personally, I could look back and be mad and be like, why did you allow that to happen? Why didn't you get help? Why didn't we do this? Or why didn't we go here? Um, but I think, I don't know. I think she did the best she could
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
Um, I can't really, I guess, get mad at her for it.
Sure. So, like, you guys then eventually get a place. What's that kind of next phase of life look
So
like?
she got an apartment above this restaurant, and from what I can remember was nice. Like we didn't have much furniture. I had my own room, stuff
Hmm.
like that. My brothers didn't. They weren't coming to visit or anything. It was just basically me and my mom.
Hmm.
Um, I would still go to my dad's every other weekend, kind of stuff. But yeah. And then she ended up meeting a new guy, and that was like super awesome. I felt like, at the
Hmm.
time it was a different life, I guess.
Not abusive, not
No, no. I mean, they would fight, they
sure.
would scream and all this stuff, but he's never raised a hand to me. He's never raised a hand to my mother,
Hmm.
as far as I know. Uh, but wasn't like the most faithful guy
Hmm.
to my mom. But yeah,
So all this kind of chaos, instability, is going on. You still have your mother through, these times of life, but like,
yeah.
at what point maybe did you start kind of acting out or getting in trouble, or did you at that young age?
At the young age, I've always been, as I would say, hell on wheels.
Hmm.
Like, all the times my brothers messed me up, I got them back too. Like,
Hmm.
I've boiled water and stuff and waited till they got in the shower and
Yeah.
opened that shower and gave them boiling water. I mean, I didn't let them get away with what they did. I
Yeah.
would just take it.
Yeah.
And I would say like I was molded to a very mean person at a
Hmm.
young age. So by the time my mom got with this guy that wasn't abusive, I was already a pretty mean guy. Uh, Middle school, I was super bully,
Hmm.
like just was a mean kid.
Oh.
But yeah, I would say for sure I would lash out. I mean, so she got with him when I was in the third grade, somewhere around there, fourth grade. Super
Hmm.
awesome guy. Like taught me, he would play catch. I've never even played catch with my own father.
Hmm.
Went to every one of my sports because my mom worked seconds, and he worked thirds.
Hmm.
Um, so he would go to all my sports, take me. Super. I mean, a dad that I never had.
Yeah.
We'd work on hot rods, stuff like that. He'd teach me about nature, and because we lived out in the country at that time,
Hmm.
just surrounded by cornfields. Um, so like the way of living was, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the wood burner is how we heated our house, but it's funny because there was holes. Our plumbing sucked. Water, still doing
Hmm.
dishes out of tubs. Uh, didn't go into my bedroom in the winter because snow would come in the wall
Oh.
and I'd have like little snow drifts. But yeah, I would say lashing out 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing some crazy stuff at that age.
Mhm.
I would say 6th grade, got expelled for selling weed
Mhm.
on the school bus. It was actually ditch weed.
Mhm.
I kept the good stuff and would sell these.
Well, at least you weren't dumb about it.
Yeah, yeah. I did give them some real seeds.
Yeah.
Like, so I'd sell them. I was around it. I
Yep.
mean, the company kept coming and going. You get kicked out of the house. It was just weed,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was big. I remember going through like, uh, they did swap meets and stuff like that, and they would pay me to unload the trucks, these U-Haul trucks. And I remember opening these bins, and dude, they would be stacked with marijuana.
Yeah.
And that's basically how I'd do it. Is I'd take some,
Mhm.
and we lived in the country, so ditchweed looked pretty similar, and
Mhm.
I'd sell it to these kids that absolutely had no idea what the stuff was. And I remember I sold it to this one kid, lived a little bit further down the road than me. Uh, Parents, health freaks. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been to his house.
Mhm.
Health freaks. Nicest house I've ever been in. And this airhead takes what I sold him. I think I sold it to him for CDs or something. I don't know what it
Mhm.
was. It was silly. But he rolls it up in lined paper because he's asking me. I'm like, hey, you roll it up. At 6th grade, I already knew how to roll a joint.
Yeah.
I knew what drugs were. I knew how to smoke it. I already tried it,
Mhm.
Um, but I was like, oh, you just put a little in paper and roll it up and lick it and you smoke it.
Mhm.
And we're sitting there, and what he did was roll it in lined paper. Well, obviously, I guess I didn't explain it good
Yeah.
enough. So he rolls it up in a house, non-smokers, health freaks,
Mhm.
in his bedroom. Rolls ditchweed. It's not even real, so it's gonna burn and smell. And rolls it up in lined paper and lights it on fire, and it just obviously burns into a bonfire. Well, they come down, and my parents basically, my mom's boyfriend knew, but my mom like believed what I said. But they
Mhm.
came down and they're like, hey, we got something to talk about. Your son sold my son drugs. And they said, oh, yeah, well, let me see it. So they show him. I remember I was on the porch,
Mhm.
and they show him this bag, and they're like, he sold him this. It's marijuana. And I remember my mom's boyfriend at the time grabs it, looks at it, opens it, and he says, that's not marijuana, it's ditchweed. He said, we didn't sell it to you. And my mom's like, and they get all defensive.
Sure.
Well, they had the bag of seeds too.
Mhm.
Those were real. I don't know why I gave them to him.
Yeah.
Maybe put it out in his parents' garden instead of,
Sure.
tomatoes, grow some plants. But my mom's boyfriend seen that, and he knew where those came from because it was theirs.
Yeah.
Uh, but my mom never always believed me that I didn't do it, ended up getting expelled. Well, it's like 3 months or whatever, half the year I got expelled. Um, Ended up getting alcohol poisoning because I would go to my older brother's house, and I'm not kidding you. I remember, I think I stayed there for a week
Mhm.
maybe, and I'm not kidding you. For the entire week, we smoked every single day. There was days that we smoked from the time we got up, never turned a light on, and next thing we know, it's dark.
Yeah.
Got alcohol poisoning. I mean, this is all 6th grade.
Mhm.
So what? 6th grade, I'm 12 years old, 11 years old, somewhere
Yep.
around there. 13 maybe. I think it was 12. But as a 12-year-old, I get expelled
Mhm.
for selling drugs at school.
Yeah.
And then why I'm expelled for selling drugs at school, I go stay with my older brother and get alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's wild.
So like, so mom and new boyfriend are like selling weed, you're saying, or
Uh,
just getting a bunch of it, or
I don't know. I think they were tangled in maybe. Uh, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were selling it. I don't
Mhm.
think.
Okay.
We just had traffic constant, and it was like hot rod buddies,
Okay.
because we had a lot of hot rods, just old school rods we would build and stuff like that. I think they would just come. I don't know,
Mhm.
actually,
Mhm.
probably.
Yeah.
I,
I mean,
I mean,
sounds like it. If
yeah,
there's a bunch of people in and
yeah.
out.
I
Yeah.
think they were tangled into uh, some bad
Sure.
people for sure. I don't know if it was directly my parents, but the family of my parents. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. They were into some. I mean,
Mhm.
we've had feds come up to the house. We've had biker gangs show up and ready to
Mhm.
kill somebody. I mean, we've had some crazy things. So I'm obviously they. I mean, something had to be going on.
Yeah. Probably more than smoking ditch
Oh,
weed.
who knows? Yeah, to be
So
honest.
what? So drugs are introduced like sound. Obviously sounds like super early on, um, and marijuana. At least back then, marijuana is very different than what it is today. The
For
substance
sure.
hasn't changed, but regulation and
Yeah.
laws, and I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
there's even a
yeah.
lot of good people that use marijuana now. But yeah, at the time, like that time frame, I mean, yeah, basic possession of marijuana in our state was a felony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so was marijuana the first like kind of like drug, so to speak, or was there
Oh yeah.
pills or
No, like for me?
yeah, for you.
Oh, it was weed.
Yeah.
Smoked it out of a pop can.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time. I
Yeah.
remember. I don't know the age. Just maybe 10.
Yeah.
Maybe 10,
Yeah.
which is wild to think because, I have kids that are younger than that or around that age. But
Sure.
yeah, I'd say 10 or 11. But I think it was normal. Like the friends that I did have
Mhm.
were still in that little area that I was, because I would still like when my mom had her new boyfriend, I'd still go stay with my grandparents,
Mhm.
which was super close to the place I was at,
Mhm.
like 5-10 minutes. And then the kids I knew from that neighborhood I was initially living in lived right around my grandparents, so I was still, tied in with them. So when I'd go stay with my grandparents or something, I'd be hanging out with those kids in the
Mhm.
neighborhood and go from there.
So besides like the friends around your grandparents, like was grandma and grandpa's pretty stable always?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
No drug usage or
Oh
anything
no.
there.
Oh
Yeah.
no. They would absolutely have my hind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was it they never I just remember my grandma. I mean, she would smack me in the back of the head, like
Mhm.
not like innocent, like
Yeah.
any
Like you probably
grandparent. Oh
needed at
yeah,
the
yeah.
time.
She would say my full name, and it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, super awesome people. Grandpa, they didn't drink, they
Mhm.
didn't party, didn't do drugs. I mean, just any grandparent you would think that was them. They were the best. They were probably the brightest thing I had in my life at that
Mhm.
time, for sure. I mean, they get us Christmas stuff like that. Got me a little mini bike. My grandpa got. Uh, I'd go there and I'd stay up with grandpa till 2, 3 in the morning, tinkering with lawnmowers and stuff like that. Just awesome things.
Mhm.
I mean, do the garden with my grandma, go have breakfast at Hardee's with my grandpa on
Mhm.
Saturday morning, just stuff like that. Super awesome people.
Any desire to take a quick break or still good?
Yeah, it's up to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, just like hearing you talk about these things, like, obviously our stories are childhoods are very different,
Yeah.
but like there's also, I think of like, happened to actually be like sixth grade, like going to buddies' houses, right? There's weed, there's like starting to drink, like,
Yeah.
and, but like the difference was like there was stability at home. And so, like, my parents immediately like pulled me out of that situation.
Yeah.
And like, I think about, and obviously you didn't, have the stability at home, but it's like, as a police officer now, right?
Yeah.
And I know of a bunch of other cops that like could have went both ways. And I just think of like how, it reminds me of just how like thankful I am that my parents,
Yeah.
pulled me out of those situations. Yeah, could have
I
went different.
Well, yeah, and I would say even our childhoods could be what they are, completely different, but you could have still turned out way worse than I ever did.
Sure.
Even with a great upbringing. I know some kids that had, born with a golden spoon, so
Hmm.
to speak, and they're not so good.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think the craziest thing is obviously how God brings us together,
Hmm.
and we can still be a whole.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how my past is never going to define my future. It
Hmm.
used to,
Sure.
uh, because I used to think it was okay for all the excuses of, hey, I was dealt this, I did this, it's okay for me to turn out to be a piece of crap, and everybody's gonna be like, I understand, I get it.
Mhm.
Um, but I always knew at a young age, obviously I didn't know God because my parents, nobody was in to God.
Mhm.
Uh, Still not really. Don't really care to go
Mhm.
or be a part of it, but I always knew and had a feeling like I had something big in life, a purpose. Um, I also would think like growing up, like, why is this always happening to me? Because I'd get screwed up, I'd get hurt, break this bone, um, this crazy stuff happened to me, But yeah, I think no matter what your upbringing is not going. I mean, some people have better shot at their future,
Mhm.
um, but I think it's all in God's hands at that point. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody, like I always say, you know, God has led me to some beautiful doors. I
Mhm.
mean, but He never turned the knob.
Yeah.
He never pushed that door open for me.
Mm.
Uh, but I definitely have been through some crazy stuff to where I shouldn't be where I am today.
Mhm.
Um, because obviously it's harder for, I would say, kids that have like a rough upbringing, because it
Oh,
takes a
absolutely.
while. It takes a while for me to even understand this isn't right. This
Yeah.
isn't normal. This isn't okay. This is not what I want.
Mhm.
And then you try to basically rewire your body and, how you look at things in life, when you're 20, 30
Sure.
years old. That's hard to do.
So what is moving into like high school years, like what are things that stand out?
I would say so. Middle school was probably the roughest. Um, fighting stuff like that. I broke my hand, I think, when I was in seventh or eighth grade or something, for fighting in the locker room.
Mhm.
Went to just absolutely annihilate this kid, and he ducked, and I punched one of those lockers
Mhm.
that have like the grades. Um, but I was pretty mean going through there. High school is when I left my mom.
Mhm.
Um, I ended up So I would go to my dad's for the summer for like a month maybe, and that was the best time. That was the only time I can remember I never wanted to go
Yeah.
back home. I just loved it at my dad's.
Yeah.
Loved the freedom and stuff like that of the nice life. AC. We never had air conditioning. Growing up, I had a TV with knobs. You have to mess with the antenna, put some aluminum foil on it, get it to work. I had cable at my dad's. Had just a different just a different life there.
Mhm.
So I would stay there, and I ended up telling my dad, because it was hard to break that cycle with my mom, because anytime I would go to leave, uh, she'd make me feel bad, or she would get mad, and she would hit me too. Don't get me wrong, my mom was abusive. Uh, she's no saint to any of this. She
Yep.
she would grab a hold of a bunk bed and just absolutely stomp me on our bunk beds. I remember going back at a young age. So her boyfriend and stuff, the abuse, I guess I would say, is not just from him.
Mhm.
It was from her too.
Mhm.
Uh, but if you made a peep when it was time to go to bed, I mean, my oldest brother slept on the top bunk. I slept on the bottom with my middle, but I was to the outside. I remember she would come in and grab a hold of those bunk beds at the top and just kick. I
Mm.
mean, kick the holy crap out of me.
Yeah.
And my other brother would be tickling me to make me laugh. So she comes back in to kick me some more.
Sounds like an older brother.
Yeah. 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 That's what they would do. But I remember middle school wise, of like the most traumatic thing of like my mom would ever do is, so I had a learning disability. I don't know if I would imagine growing up, stuff like that. School wasn't huge. Uh, I don't ever remember caring about school. It was just getting through. I think at that time, the group of kids that I was with, the school knew probably the type of life I was living and stuff like that. But yeah, uh, report cards got mailed, so they never got them. When I
Mhm.
was failing, I actually burned a barn down, burning my report card.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, it was not good in school. But I remember in middle school, like my mom would try to teach me. Her patience is 0.
Mhm.
Um, she'd be like smacking the table, screaming, "Why are you so stupid? Why can't you figure this out?" Smack me in the back of the head. And then I'd say, "Hey, I'm going to go live with my dad." Oh, no, That's the worst thing you could say to her.
Mhm.
Then she would just start hammering me. Go live with them, leave me, I don't care anymore, blah, blah, blah. Basically like another like mind game,
Mhm.
what it was. But yeah, she would beat the crap out of me too. It
Mhm.
just never hurt because it's my mom.
Yeah.
Um, but I finally went to my dad's on, say, my 8th grade and 9th grade year. So I went to my dad's and I was like, Dad, I just want to live here. And I think I was 16. I would have had to be because that would have been the only time my mom was okay with it or was
Mhm.
legally allowed to or something like that. Obviously, my dad reached out to my mom. Was like, hey, Zach's wanting to live here. So now that's all of her kids
Mhm.
leaving. And obviously, it was an absolutely not. He's not doing this. And then she tried to make me feel bad. And I just kind of stood my ground because my dad was always, son, if you want to live here, you can live here. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
That was his motto. He never pressured me one way or another. I never remember my dad saying, I want you to live with me. Don't go back to your mom. Your mom's this, your mom's. I never remember that.
Mhm.
Um, but I ended up living with my dad, which honestly at the time probably wasn't the best move. I went into freshman year, partying, hung out I was back with my older brothers.
Sure.
Uh, now they're older. I'm older. Uh, Drugs are a little bit different. Parties are a little bit different. At
Mhm.
that time, I'm 15, 16 years old.
So what was the age gap? Like, what was your
So we're
oldest?
all
If
2
you were
years apart.
okay.
I'm 4 from my oldest.
Okay.
So 2 from my middle, 4 from my oldest. So we were just 2 years apart.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm 15, 16. My next one's 18. The next one's 20. So,
Yeah.
and, but yeah, we were in that era. I kind of hung out with the middle brother.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, we'd go to parties. It was fun. Like, I had a blast. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna lie, but that's obviously not normal.
Mhm.
We should have had more structure. The only rules my dad ever had was either be in by the street lights kicked on, or you're locked out and don't be brought home by a cop.
Mhm.
Um, so we would party, and I remember we wouldn't go to school for days.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even. We'd have like friends call us in to the principal and act like our parents. Like, obviously you don't
Those
get
are good
away with that.
friends.
Yeah, you don't get away with that now.
Mhm.
There's a little more. There's a couple more steps you got to go to call off a friend. But yeah, they would call me off, and then I remember it happened maybe 3-4 times we got away with it, and then this one time, uh, she called it in. It was always a girl we'd have sound
Mhm.
like our mom.
Yeah.
They'd call it in, and they're like, okay. And they didn't believe it. And they're like, hey, stay on the phone real quick. I'm going to just, patch you over to this person. Boom. She hangs up. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Why'd you just hang up? Now they know it's not true. Ever since then, I was screwed.
Yeah.
But there was days, like weeks, we wouldn't go to school because we're out partying.
Mhm.
We'd stay in this house that older friends had. I'm not kidding you. We had enough money for sometimes electricity, rent, and beer. That was
Yeah.
it. 'Cause all we did was party. I
Yeah.
think I got maybe 2 credits.
Yeah.
I mean, I failed gym.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to do.
That's tough.
Yeah, I flunked it. I mean, but at that time I started getting into the pills, air duster, stuff like that. I was hitting air duster in our lockers at school and then walked to lunch.
Mhm.
I remember leaving school and doing air duster. And this is where the structure would come into play. If I had that, thankfully I'm still here and I get to talk about it
Mhm.
and try to navigate now my own kids of why you don't do this or you don't live that, and nor
Mhm.
am I going to allow you, because my dad didn't care. And I'm out here. We'd drive around, call them roadies,
Mhm.
just hitting air duster, driving around. I mean, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Because when you hit it long enough, you'll pass out. Um, but we'd do that. I remember we'd go to parties and these people they'd have a bag full of pills, all different kinds. First time I ever did harder pills, like methadone or oxy, stuff like that. But yeah, I was partying, fighting, constantly fighting.
At school.
Uh,
or
yeah.
just in
So,
general?
no, school. Honestly, I made a name of myself at a young age.
Mhm.
Of basically, I'm a fighter, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna fight. And we'd set up fights where I'd fight about every day after school.
Mhm.
We'd go to the park in our area, go down to the basketball courts, or we'd just drive around. And I'd flip people off, and if they flipped me off or said something back, we'd stop, and I'd get out and whip them right there. And that's what we would do. I
Yeah.
mean, I was a mean. I remember times we'd walk. We had no car, so we're walking, and I bet a friend that I was with. I was like, "Hey, next person that gets to hit somebody, has to buy the other person a pack of cigarettes."
Mhm.
And I remember this car was driving, and I flicked a cigarette into his windshield, and it kind of does that little
Mhm.
ash spring. It looks like firework. Man, he slammed on those brakes, put it in reverse, and I didn't even let him say hi, scream, nothing. Just cracked him right off. I mean, that's the silliest things
Yeah.
that I've ever heard of
Yeah.
to do. But I was obviously my upbringing molded me
Mhm.
into this very mean person. Like I was very violent.
So, like, so obviously throughout this, you've mentioned the anger, the violence, just being mad and mean. Like now, as you sit back and you think about like that emotion, like what at that young age, like what was in your head as to why I'm gonna be the meanest, toughest MFer out here? Like, was it because of the abuse? Was it because like, man, you started to recognize that like your home was different? Like, what
Yeah.
what derived that?
I would think I recognized the beatings,
Hmm.
and even my brothers picking on me, or just I was always running around with older crowds.
Hmm.
And I just always would tell myself growing up, my motto was, "You're either going to respect me or I'll beat it into you."
Hmm.
And that was because I'm getting beaten growing up, and then I'm finally mean enough or strong enough or
Hmm.
know I can, know how to fight and stuff like that, to where it's like nobody's going to disrespect me again.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, there's times to where my brothers would have issues with people. They'd call me up, and I would just show up and beat whoever
Hmm.
they had a problem with. I mean, I was the smallest, but I was by far the meanest
Hmm.
out of all of us. And it was just, it was the upbringing, honestly. It was the meanness started off young. I mean, I'm getting smacked, I'm getting mental abuse, physical abuse at such a young age. And then I'm molded into, now when I'm bigger, more mature, I have muscles, I'm strong, like I can actually do something with that anger.
Hmm.
Instead, before I'd get mad, but what am I going to do?
Hmm.
I'm 5, 6 years old. Who am I going to hurt?
Sure.
Now I'm 16. Now I can hurt somebody.
Hmm.
I'm 15. Now I can hurt somebody.
Hmm.
Puberty, you start hitting that, and then, it just clicks for me, where I'm like constantly fighting with my brothers, or constantly fighting this person and this person. And at some point, it's just like, it's part of life.
Hmm.
That's, being the baddest was the coolest thing to me.
Hmm.
Made me finally, I don't know, feel that I had a purpose.
Sure.
I mean, before I didn't have a purpose.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, everybody knew me of, I'll fight.
Hmm.
And that was like the best thing to me.
Yeah.
That's what was important,
Sure.
was to fight.
Yeah.
What anybody would remember me of growing up as in school, it would be that. I
Hmm.
mean, they knew I was a fighter.
Yeah. So talk to me like the progression of like substance abuse. Obviously, a sixth grader smoking weed and
Yeah.
probably drinking. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
Like what is that? As a let's just use it as an example. Like a 21-year-old gets hired on as a cop,
Yeah.
and they go out and they make a traffic stop, and here's this dude that's 30 years old and he's tatted up and he's been to prison,
Yeah.
most of his adult life, and he's a junkie, he's a user, he's just a shitbag
Yeah.
in their head. It's just,
Yeah.
but yet, part of obviously this whole thing today is like telling your story because and I think you would even say as we get into later, like, cops have to find this balance, right? It's not that we shouldn't enforce the laws. It's not that we shouldn't take people to jail because sometimes that's what they need.
Oh yeah.
But yet, putting a human behind this, this doper, this tweaker, this,
Yeah.
putting this human behind and this story behind, um, What did that progression of like substance abuse look like? And like, what are some stories that like stand out when you were young?
As in, like, doing drugs
Yeah.
or
Like, so obviously, probably the common person thinks somebody like, just an example, like my grandpa,
yeah,
before he passed away, I remember, never touched drugs in his life. He's like, what, Matt, what do these people eat? What do they use drugs for? Why do they
yeah,
start? And it's like, well, it's a lot more complicated than that,
yeah,
grandpa. But, and obviously it's law enforcement and, even the medics and the fire guys, like they understand this at a different level, but like that progression. So like most cops smoked weed when they were young
yeah.
and drink beer. Most humans do. Right. But yet we don't go, down that road of the eventually leading to hard stuff. So
Yeah.
like, what does that progression path look like?
I would say, like, obviously the marijuana was the gateway for me, but I was always, for me, I'm not saying everybody, but I would say a lot of them,
Hmm.
everybody's trying to cover something,
Hmm.
a past, a
Sure.
feeling. People, cope with things way different, as in stress or hurt, stuff like that. But I would say mine is a little bit different because I was around it
Hmm.
at such a young age. I mean, I've been around drugs since I could remember.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say that for it to progress for me was natural. I mean, it was
Hmm.
going to come, because obviously I chose that way. But getting into the more pills and stuff like
Hmm.
that, it was just cool. Everybody else was doing it. The buzz was there. Like, it molds you into this person that's not true.
Hmm.
Like, you don't have hurt. You don't
Hmm.
have, you know, I feel like when you're going through the traumas that you go through, if you don't learn to deal with them, you're going to turn to something.
Sure.
Something's going to mask, or you're just going to turn into a ticking time bomb and end up,
Hmm.
beating the crap out of your spouse or your loved ones or anyone around,
Hmm.
But I mean, me started and then I got into, harder stuff.
So like in high school, like mainly downer pills
Yeah.
or.
They would, downers was the thing to do. I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't get into the hard stuff obviously until I was in my adult years,
Hmm.
but so freshman year was basically all partying. I was doing the air duster,
I'm just
drink.
curious, like another aspect of this, right? As cops, like I said, a lot of cops have smoked weed at some point in their
Yeah,
life, in high school or college or whatever. But there's also just like a curious side, right? I've asked
yeah,
cops like, "Hey, what do you want me to ask Zach? Like, what do we want to
yeah.
talk about?" And just like so, like air dusters, like what's the effect of that?
Well,
I've literally seen I've seen people die on
yeah.
it, and I've
Oh,
seen
for
people,
sure. The crazy thing, and this is me by no way like glorifying any
sure,
drugs. I
sure,
don't, I was doing air duster every single day my freshman year.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not kidding you. I would hit it, stick my head in the locker, hit it, and I remember trying to go to lunch and just passed out. Boom, with my tray,
hmm,
bam. You hit it, and it is the most intense high for about 30 seconds. Like,
hmm,
I think the funny thing is like when you first hit it, it changes your voice. You'll literally talk like, your voice gets so deep when you hit it and it's like, oh, but then it's like this ringing and it just, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, it feels like your head's like just, I mean, in and out. It's like
hmm,
you just hit like, I don't know, a lot of helium, stuff like
hmm,
that. Like, it's just, but then if you hit it, you never know if you're going to pass out. I
hmm.
mean, you'll hit it to where I know people that got addicted to it.
Sure, yeah,
Uh,
I've seen that too.
I would imagine I was addicted to it at some point. I mean, I did it a lot, but it was a high. It was
Hmm.
something, feel like the air duster is something to where you can afford it. It's
Hmm.
easy to get. It's legal.
Hmm.
At that time, they didn't have it locked up.
Sure,
They got it locked up now.
yeah, yeah.
But we'd go in there, steal it. We're in school. We ain't got no
Hmm.
money. We'd
Yeah.
either steal money from our parents or we'd go into the store and just, stuff it in your pant leg.
Hmm.
But the high is like it's one heck of a rush for about
Hmm.
30 seconds. But if you hit it too long, you pass out.
Yeah.
And that's, or, there's so much risk to it. Obviously, it kills your brain cells.
Hmm.
But if you hold it a certain way, it'll literally you'll get frostbite
Hmm.
because it will freeze.
Yeah.
Um, But I would imagine people get addicted to that very intense
Mm-hmm.
30-second high,
Mm-hmm.
because that's really all it lasts.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I don't know. I was wild.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I would even want that in my life, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I would pass out even thinking about trying
Yeah.
it.
So like with the pills, like what, obviously, downers. So I'm assuming like, we're partying, we're just chilling, we're
Yeah.
completely relaxed. Life is not a problem anymore kind of
Yeah.
thing.
No.
What is that progression of pills? Is it different? Do you go, for you and your story, like, was it start going to like a different variety of pills, or you just were taking more and more and more as time went on? Or?
I don't think I cared. I think I was addicted to I'm cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a party. I'm going to, break a pill up and snort it. Obviously, I never ate a pill.
Mm-hmm.
I've never ate a pill until maybe 5 years ago,
Yeah.
when I, got fixed,
Yeah.
and they made me,
Yeah.
even though I'm telling them like, hey, I don't want it. Like,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, you have to.
Yeah.
But obviously it was the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Break a pill up, people's there partying. That's what you think girls like. That's what, your buddies like. Like I said before, I'm hanging out with kids that are probably 4 or 5 years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
6 years, or right around my age.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hang out with, the jocks, I would say, and stuff.
Sure.
I hung out with the cool kids, the party kids. But I would say the first one, like the first drugs I started was pills, was probably like Norcos, and then it would be Percocets. And I remember I did a methadone, which just absolutely rocked my world, where I was like, hey, I don't want to do that again. That burnt.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you get into, basically whatever somebody has. I mean, I never knew what could happen by taking these pills. I knew it wasn't heroin. And, growing up, you think of heroin, you think of needles, but that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can do it many ways. But heroin, I was always scared of, because you never know what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
You could die.
So did you see, like these parties, are you seeing heroin? Are you seeing meth? Or you're just doing what you have, which is pills and drinking and that kind of stuff?
I mean, I'm sure it was there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Acid, stuff like that. We'd do shrooms, stuff, to make you trip. But I would imagine the parties I were at, it just wasn't my choice of drug at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had never paid attention to what it was. I didn't see a lot of like tweakers, but definitely heroin for sure. But you always knew the ones that were on it, the hard stuff. We never really wanted to mess with the hard stuff right away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at a time, my brother, used to sell it, and we'd go to Chicago, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. You're saying heroin? Or,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there was a time to like, my oldest brother was living on his own house, to where, we're going over there. He's selling it. And I remember they'd be in these little cubes. They'd go to Chicago and stuff and come back. But I remember my brother, he ended up getting in trouble for a bank robbery. They ended up just absolutely surrounding the house and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man.
Were you home?
Yeah, I was thinking they were there for the drugs.
Yeah.
Honest to God, I knew nothing about this bank robbery crap.
So what was that situation like? As far as your experience and the cops showing up and
there was SWAT, there was everything. I mean, stuff you see on movies.
Mm-hmm.
They were there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild. You get, you're a part of that, and they shut down an entire road. And then I remember I was at my dad's. I lived at my dad's, and just cleaned my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I come home after a couple days or something, and my bedroom just wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wrecked. Ceiling and floor. I come downstairs and I'm like, Dad, what the heck did you do to my bedroom? Because Dad never went into our rooms. That was one thing he never did. He'd stand at the door. He'd respect our privacy, even though he shouldn't have. But he would respect it. And he's like, oh, the FBI was up there. I'm like, dude, what? So I remember I had some drugs, and I stuck it in this fake plant. So I'd take this fake plant, a foam plant, and I'd cut a square out of it, and it'd be half of it. So then I would shove it back down in the pot, and my drugs were in there.
Sure.
So Didn't even ask why they were there, nothing. Just ran upstairs, grabbed that plant, ripped it off, and it was still there. And I was like, oh, thank
Yeah.
God. And, but no, they were there. They had all our pictures laid out to see if my brother was right-handed or left-handed, because the bank robbery held the gun with their left. Typically means they're left-handed. You're going to have it in your power hand, and we're all right. But yeah, that was, I mean, at a young age, that was super wild to even be a part of or anything like that.
So in high school, are you getting caught at all? Are you on probation or
No,
anything?
my brothers did. My one brother, he got in trouble for him and his friends were breaking into a gas station. I remember him calling me like late at night, and this is like freezing cold, which is the worst time to be a criminal and try to run.
Yeah.
Is when there's snow on the ground. Pretty easy. You don't even need a dog at that point. But yeah, that's what it was. And I remember him calling me. He's like, "Oh, I'm in so much trouble. I need help." And I was like, obviously I couldn't get to him. I couldn't drive. But yeah, they ended up finding him. It was hilarious. We laugh about it now because we're way different than what we were growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say, the party and stuff like that. I didn't personally get in trouble. But I was already running from the cops. Cops bust a party, and I'm out.
Yeah.
I was already had it in my mindset. Cops weren't my friends. Try to avoid them. But yeah, never got in trouble at a young age. I got brought home once for curfew. But that was about it. That was, yeah.
So then you're about how old at this point?
I was still, all this happened freshman year.
Okay.
And then I ended up changing my life for a while. I started dating this girl, and we ended up breaking up. But her parents, her dad was a pastor. Her mom was a beautiful person. They ended up obviously hearing how I was raised and the life, because I've always been open and honest. I've never been what I say is a hypocrite or something like that. Like I was very upfront. My past was always on my forefront, didn't care, wasn't ashamed. And they ended up hearing a lot of this, and it was just like, hey, would you like to go? Cause me and her already broke up, and they're like, hey, you want to go to church camp? And, I was going to church here and there, and then I started going full time, because I only went to church because I met that girl. Or her dad's a pastor.
Girls will make you do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. If I'm going to date her, I got to go to this church thing.
Yeah.
Didn't care about it, obviously. I remember meeting her, and I'm at a party. She was like on a vacation or something, and I'm texting her. And people's like, you're an idiot. You know who her dad is. You're just not, I'm not going to fit in.
Yeah.
And at that time, I already had a tattoo, like, 3 inches tall, shoulder to shoulder, my last name across it. So I'm already got my first tattoo, I was 16, my mom signed for it. And I went big. I didn't go little. I was already troubled. Like it wasn't my scenery. So I was like, obviously at the time, I made all these changes for her. Like you said, men do crazy things for women. It can be positive, it could be negative. With this, I'm trying to win her. So I'm doing all this. I'm going to church. I'm doing all this, not taking it any serious. But I ended up going. They asked, "Hey, you want to go to church camp?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? Kind of have to." But I ended up going, and then basically the life they were living, they weren't rich. They had a nice life.
Yeah.
But there was structure, stability. There was love. That was, never seen that. Didn't know what that was. There was no partying. There was no hurting me. There was no tough love. It was just, a family that I never seen. So that's what drew me in. And they asked me to go to church camp. I ended up going to church camp, and then gave my life to God, once I learned about him and everything. So we would go 2 weeks. First week was our week, the age group that we were in. The second week was for the youngers, or vice versa, one of the two. So I was always there for 2 weeks. instead of 1 week like normal people because they help run it and all that. But I remember I gave my life to God at a picnic table at church camp.
Mhm.
It was 7/24/09, the day I
So
did
you
that.
would have been how old?
16.
Okay.
I was right around 15, 16 years old still. Because the freshman year, it went crazy. But the year after freshman year, that summer is when, so I was still 15, 16 years old. So that summer, I did a lot of crazy stuff in
Mhm.
1 year. And then the amount of change that I had would have been my freshman summer year.
Mhm.
Because the freshman year I was at high school was actually how I met my wife, who I'm with now, which
Mhm.
was wild. We dated, or she was obsessed with me, and I just, whatever. And she'll tell you that. She
Yeah,
was.
you remind her of that still?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She tells me all the time, I was crazy obsessed with you, and I wanted nothing really to do with her like that far. You
Yeah.
know, I was just a troubled kid wanting to party and have fun. Um, but yeah, I met you know, the other family, and they
Mhm.
basically took me in, showed me a life that I never seen,
Mhm.
showed me what God was, showed me what love was, what a family is. They gave me all that.
Mhm.
And honestly, without them, I would not be where I am today,
Mhm.
because even though it didn't stick at the time, because I was super good, and you could see, everybody still to this day can see a difference of when I'm living, you know, with and for God, as when I'm not, when I
Mhm.
am living not a good life. Uh, and it did. I mean, it changed me for a couple years, and then I slowly
Yeah.
slipped back.
I think there's something interesting though, and obviously I haven't got too much into like your faith journey and stuff, but like, there's this reality that I think a couple different realities that I think we fail to, as men and adults, to really think about. And one is like, you know, we have a moment of salvation,
Yeah.
right? Like for me, that was at a young age,
Yeah.
and it was before all of my high school partying, right?
Yeah.
Like, but there's something about like it was a genuine encounter with this risen Jesus. And though like went completely astray and partied and, did all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was a juvenile at the time, just never got caught.
Yeah.
And, but like the Holy Spirit, scripture talks about like the Holy Spirit, like living in us and the Holy Spirit being a guide. And you get to see, through like my own story, through your story, where like God never left you. Like we
Yep.
might have left God, you might have like walked away from God, but you get to see where like that grace and that spirit like truly was always drawing you back, even
Mm-hmm.
at times like when you don't realize it. And yeah, and the irony. So when we had dinner a couple of weeks ago, this is the first time that I made this connection. Super small world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually dated one
Yeah.
of the older daughter
Yeah.
in this family.
The
Had no
sister.
idea. Had no idea you were. I was older than you. Had no idea that you were ever in this picture. It's such a small world. It's so funny when you told me that. I was like, I can't believe I know exactly who you're talking about. Because
Yeah.
I used to go over there. So you have this youth, this abuse and no stability, and we're at one point homeless and going back and forth to mom and dad and the brothers, and now you encounter this family that, yeah, not rich by the country standards, but yeah, nice, clean, structured home,
Yeah.
structured family. Like, what was it like to see a life that happens to be maybe more normal to the normal
Yeah.
person, but yet was very foreign to you? Like, what are things that began to stand out to you?
I would say the thing that obviously stuck to me first was, walking into their house. I'm not saying they lived a mansion or anything.
Hmm.
It's nice.
Yeah.
To me, that was the nicest house I've ever been in. But I would say that the love that they had, for one another, like
Hmm.
what they did together as a family, just like blew my mind. Um, they didn't party. They had fun, clean fun,
Hmm.
and they actually loved one another, showed it in just a way that I never seen. And, you know, I feel bad because they had no idea what they were bringing in.
Mhm.
I was so damaged beyond repair. Um, they never blinked an eye at me. They took me in and accepted me for who I was. And I would say the biggest thing that stood out was the love they showed. That
Mhm.
I'm not saying my biological family didn't love me,
Mhm.
because I know they do, but it was just it was a different way of life that I've never knew existed. It was a fairy tale to me.
Mhm.
Like I would say, so to speak, that was, my glory days. That was, heaven to me. That was stuff. The life that I lived with him was never even a dream.
Mhm.
And like I said, it wasn't a fancy life.
Mhm.
It was just, the structure was there, the love was there, the caring, they were actually there for me,
Mhm.
cared about my health, my well being, what I was going to be growing up. Cause, all the crazy thing at a young age turned me into a monster is what they did. What they did when they brought me in was try to prepare me for life. What any parent should do as your kid is getting up to the adulthood.
Mhm.
And they showed me the love, of Jesus and stuff that I've just never. Church was just church to me. God was just, didn't even know who that was.
Mhm.
It's not like I knew who, Satan was or anything like that, but God was just the word.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, they showed me, I would say, the godly side of
Mhm.
life. And I mean, it drew me to, I couldn't let go.
Mhm.
It was just, I don't know. It was the love for sure.
So eventually, though, like, you do walk away from that life, right? I don't
Yeah.
know if that was your doing or their doing
Oh,
or
it was
what
my
that.
doing.
Okay,
100%.
what's that look like?
Like, I wouldn't say I walked away from that life, but I made choices and decisions that forced them to not have me as close to them,
Sure.
um, which is understandable.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know. They ended up moving away, and
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe I was a part of that reason. I don't know, but they never stopped loving me.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe it's something I can ask. So I actually reached out to them.
Mhm.
Um, haven't really talked to him or seen him in over 10 years. So I
Yeah.
ended up reaching out, maybe last week or something. I
Yeah.
remember talking to my wife, and I woke up in the morning. We wake up 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
First thing in my mouth, babe, how would you feel if I reached out to him and because I know they come here because
Mhm.
their
Yep.
family lives, you know, not far. I mean,
Mhm.
hour or 2 hours away from us. I was like, how would you feel? I genuinely love them
Mhm.
and will always love them. I was like, hey, how would you feel if I reached out to them and so they could meet you,
Mhm.
meet my family, meet my
Yeah.
life? When I did, and so I plan on meeting with them in a couple months
Wow.
for the first time in like 10 years,
Yeah.
11 years.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to know more of what
Yeah.
happened, but I believe my doings uh, was a reason
Mhm.
to it.
Yeah.
And they ended up leaving, and at that time before they left I was already dibbling back. Basically, I felt like my family would try to pull me back in. They were jealous of the life that I had,
Mhm.
um, would make fun of me
And you're how old? You're 16, 17?
when they left.
No, like, yeah, when you're living with them and then they leave.
No, I was 18 at the
18.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to them
Okay.
sophomore, junior, senior year. Um, Ended up finishing online because I got kicked out.
Mhm.
Uh, got I think they had like demerits or something. I don't know,
Mhm.
which is wild. So there were some people there that did not agree with them bringing me in. Did
Mhm.
not agree with who I was,
Mhm.
the past I had. Didn't want
Sure.
nothing to do with me
From
there.
the church.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
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 Which is wild to think because you know they can judge me all they want, but I can see them now,
Yeah.
and they're not in a healthy
Mhm.
place.
Yeah.
Which I still, I pray for them, and I still wish that they get back to where they were.
Mhm.
But it's wild how it looks, growing up to where those people kicked me out and was never for me and always, um, I would say talk crap about me.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like our human nature, like our human nature is judge people,
Oh, for sure.
and our human nature is to not get involved in messy situations. But like, it just reminds me, I just think of Jesus.
Yeah.
And, I have to think about this all the time myself, right? I get to deal still on a nightly basis with people that are messy, right?
Yeah.
And yet when we look at the gospels, like Jesus surrounded himself with
Yeah.
those people
Hmm.
to the extent that, you know, uh, culturally representative of their day, the pastors and the elders and the church leaders wearing suits and ties were like, hey, you can't hang out with these people.
Yeah.
And, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, as scripture would call them. But yet Jesus was with the prostitutes and the tax collectors and the
Yeah.
drunks and like, yeah, it's just, it's a testimony. Like like I said, I had no idea that you lived with this family and dated the daughter and all that stuff. It's a testimony to them and like their character to take you in and to see that side. And I can certainly see where, other people from their church wouldn't have agreed with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, we just talked and it was nice. She messaged me back and it was like, I was just like, hey, if you want to talk about it with, him and pray about it or whatever, I totally
Sure.
understand. And dude, it was an instant response. She's like, hey, I just asked him, and it's like an absolutely. And she's like, I just want you to know we've always loved you,
Hmm.
and we always will. And we're like, we're proud of who you are, the
Hmm.
family that you're raising now. And they obviously keep tabs
Hmm.
as social media,
Sure.
stuff like that. So they haven't seen the struggle, the deep struggle I went to. Obviously, they know,
Hmm.
obviously from social media
Hmm.
or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, huge part of how I raised my kids today and the godly man I am today
Hmm.
started with them. And like I
Hmm.
say, is you know, it's like a seed. It gets planted. It takes a while. Even though if they wouldn't have shown me the life they did, I wouldn't be probably living the
Hmm.
life that I am today. I'm not saying it's all glory to them, but they were a
Sure.
massive milestone to my
Yeah.
life to change path. And just by that one, couple, one family do that for me.
Hmm.
Now, I've got my brothers to come to church. I've got, I raised my family in a church.
Hmm.
God is huge. My kids love, we call them Jesus jams. Like they
Hmm.
love just singing it at the top of their lungs. Like all that of an entire generation, and a younger generation
Hmm.
coming up is based off of them taking
Hmm.
a chance that nobody else would.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's like when they brought me into that life, all my flaws were on the outside. Everybody could see them. It
Hmm.
was so it was easy to judge me, like you said, but all theirs were hidden.
Yeah.
And that's the downfall to that is all my stuff is very visible.
Hmm.
It's the people that, can point a finger at me all they want, but what's going on in your life?
Yeah.
The thing is mine's out in the open.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with stuff that you would never know they struggle. Like
Yeah.
there's some situations out there where you're like, what? I would
Hmm.
never guess that.
Yeah.
And then there's some out there, it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. 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 So like, if it was, obviously we've got into all kinds of like different topics and
Yeah.
areas and stuff, but then it gets, much, I would say worse
Oh
or
yeah.
it's
Oh man.
heavy. And so like, so you've got this stability in them. It's the first time you've seen this, like what a real life honestly looks like and what
Yeah.
Christ looks like. And, but then they move away. And I assume like, do you feel like, like almost kind of abandoned and back on your
Oh,
own?
for sure. But at the time, and the weird thing is how the devil works.
Mm.
The whole time, you know, the devil only, to me is tries to grab you. And once he's got you, you're in. He don't have to constantly watch you and all this stuff until
Mhm.
you start doing good. So the entire time I'm doing good, I did good, but all it takes is one time,
Yeah.
and then you're hooked right back into life. So I started slowly back to partying, using their car because they got me a car. They bought me nice clothes. Like, dude, I lived
Mhm.
an amazing life with them.
Yeah.
Paid for my schooling, everything. I went to uh, a private school,
Mhm.
um, which is crazy to think. So I slowly started abusing their kindness,
Mhm.
um, and just got wrapped back in to the old life. And it was mainly, hanging out with my brothers again, hanging out with old friends that I knew, and just started the vicious cycle
Mhm.
over again. And then they ended up leaving. And yeah, it was like, nobody wants me again. I'm just, I've kind of accepted this is the life that I was desired to live.
Mhm.
So make the best of it. I just went back to the old ways, went back to my mom's, and started the partying again. Went to work, working in a factory.
So did you graduate high school or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I did.
Okay. So now
Uh,
you're in a factory.
yeah, working in a factory, just supplying gas money and drug money. Really,
Yeah.
I was always really, weed. Go back to marijuana. Uh, then I'd get back into the pills, and then I ended up meeting a girl, and she was harder into the pills. So I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I've had injuries before, so I was like, man, I'll just go to this doctor. I ended up meeting her, and went to a doctor and got overly prescribed
Mhm.
narcotics, and we ended up, dating, and then she ended up getting pregnant, and we had uh, my oldest. Um, but yeah, she stayed with her, I think, for 2 years, 3 years. But
Mhm.
that's when the pills were hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, spend my last dollar on them. But you
Yeah.
could never tell I was on them.
Mm.
I was never the type to nod out and stuff. They gave me energy.
Mhm.
So even though they were downers, they were uppers to me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would do them, constantly.
Mhm. What kind of scripts were you mainly getting scripts
Yeah,
or
yeah. I
yeah.
was prescribed 180 Percocets, and then ended up a little bit later needed energy. I was like, oh yeah, man, Adderall.
Mhm.
So then this guy started prescribing me 120 Adderall. So a month, I'm getting 300 pills,
Yeah.
180 perks, 120 Adderall.
Mhm.
180 perks, I would be out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'd sell 30 of them to help pay with the bills or whatever. I'd be out in a week. Like, I mean, I would do 10 of them a day.
Yeah.
Easy.
So like obviously again, I assume most people listening to this, understand, the pill side, but like there's also people that don't understand how easy it is to do that and go that route and
Yeah.
get pills and like
Yeah.
and I hope some of those regulations are changing, but at the same time, if you go, I've had surgeries and injuries and stuff, and you go to the doctor, and it's like the very first thing they want to give you opioid pain
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, um, so I assume that was like super easy. You just went in there and
Literally, first time I ever met this guy. I will say, I mean, I'm sure there's still people out there, but I would say they have cracked down on it at some degree. But it's also I don't know, you could still go to, I call them twack doctors, is
Mhm.
what they are. They're not real. All they are is to get money and stuff. But
Yeah.
basically, I walked in there and said, hey, I've always had knee problems. I was like, oh, my knee hurts, my
Mhm.
back hurts. Like, oh, okay. You feed them the line. Dude, it was so easy. I'm not
Mhm.
kidding you. It was ridiculous
Yeah.
easy. Just the lie after that. So basically, I'd go in there and right
Yeah.
off the rip, gave me like, I think he started off at 60 Norco 5s or something like that. And I remember thinking, did I hit the lottery?
Yeah.
I ain't got to buy these things. I'm getting these every month for free.
Mhm.
And then that's how it starts. You start low, 30, 60. It's not enough. I need
Mhm.
more. Going in there every month. You got to go in there. And I would go in there every month from that time that I first went in there and got a script. They're not strong enough. They're not strong enough. So you up it, go from Norcos. Now we're getting into Percocets. Now, I'm on, I call them Perc 10s, which is, 1,000 milligrams of Percocet or whatever, which are stronger than Norcos because you have like less, I think, Tylenol in them, something like that. But every time I'm going in there. And then when I get maxed out on Percocets, I'm like, oh man, let's throw some Adderalls. We call them speed cocktails is what they would call them. So you have an upper and a downer, you mix them together and it's strong.
Yeah. And again, I think our listeners all will know this, but like, yeah, so you're essentially getting legal synthetic heroin and legal synthetic methamphetamine, Adderalls and as an amphetamine, an upper.
Yeah. And I can get pulled over with it and be okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to look over my back for you guys.
Yeah.
Like I can have my bottle in my pocket and you guys can stop me and I ain't got nothing to worry about and then it also opens this door. Like you guys would never think of, now I can go out and buy what I'm prescribed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you guys
Throw
can
in
do
your
about
bottle
it.
or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could leave a house. You could pull me over and I have my bottle with me. I ain't getting in trouble.
Yeah.
You can say the pill count or anything like that, but you can't charge me for the pill count and stuff like that. Or I could just say, hey, the rest of them are at home. I just brought these in my bottle so you guys could see.
Sure.
And that's the crazy lifestyle that, maybe you guys can't see or understand, but
yeah, I think we get that side of it.
Yeah. it just makes it to where like you're living high on the hog is what I say. I mean, cause now so if you do Norcos, if you're prescribed that, you can also do tabs because you're going to fail for the same thing on a drug screen.
Yeah.
Percocets are a little bit different, but you can do like oxys and stuff like that. And it's going to show up the same on a drug screen.
Yeah.
And it just, I would say the biggest benefit is you get them monthly and I don't have to worry about you guys. I can play the system a little bit better.
So like, obviously just like any addiction. So we start down this road of pills now. It's, obviously getting into harder stuff, like with the quantities of the amounts that you're taking. Like, when do you realize that, like, man, I'm straight up addicted to this stuff? Is that fairly soon because you run out or?
No, I would say like a year into dating her.
This is your baby mama.
Yeah. The first one.
Yep.
I just started feeling this feeling because obviously I've already met God and had that part of my life, but I would just have these feelings, not like godly feelings or anything, but obviously it was God trying to, just work a little bit into my life of, man, this isn't the life I want to live. This isn't like I have goals. I want to be retired when I'm 6 years old, sitting on a porch. I remember driving and I would tell the girl I was with, like, that's what I want. Like we would drive, school buses are going by, old couples just sitting there drinking coffee on their front porch. Why? The rest of the world is chaotic and trying to get to where they're wanting to get. These two people have made it in life and they're just enjoying it. Like that's what I wanted. I had, goals and they would always get fogged out or blurred out by the drugs. But I would always catch glimpse because you can have high highs and low lows, but I'd always catch in the middle there of what normal life should be like. And I was just like, man, I don't want to live this life. And it was solely from the family that took me in. I showed that, but I knew I've lived this life and this life. I knew they do not go together. You cannot live both lives, nor can you raise a child because a kid's involved at this point. So that was a huge motivation for me of, dude, I don't want to live in this government housing edition for the rest of my freaking life. I want to own my own house. I want to own my own business. I want to do all this. I had goals. But I'd always just get sucked back in. And anytime, and then when you're with somebody that's not wanting to change, very hard. Because you have emotions, love, and stuff like that involved. But I always had a bigger picture sometimes, but it would just get blurred out by the drugs.
So now you're looking at this child. Is your son?
Yeah. Yep.
So you're looking at this child and of all things, should be the strongest motivation in life to completely change and,
Yeah.
say, get rid of something like drugs in life. But yet obviously it didn't have that effect. Like, as you're saying, maybe it's,
No. Yeah.
you're having these moments of clarity, you're seeing these goals. Like, what was that like to have what did it look like to have a child early? Like a,
Uh, I initially, right off the bat, was like, I'm not raising this kid like how I was raised.
mhm,
So obviously, my number one goal was to give him the life that I didn't have, that I never even dreamed of. Uh, but it's hard to do that because the drugs got a hold of you.
mhm,
Um, so like, you know, snorting pills and stuff, dude, it was normal to have like me and her would be like, "Hey, you got pill, wipe your nose." Like, dude,
mhm,
that's messed up.
yeah,
Like, hey, I love you so much, but you got, pills hanging out your nose.
mhm,
Like, it's just wild to think. But like a kid, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong with the pills.
mhm,
The harder drugs is what tore me up to where I could look at them and be like, dude, what in the hell? Why
yeah,
why can't you change? But you're never putting their best interests in the mind when drugs are involved,
mhm,
because your main priority, whether you like it or not or see it, is your new mistress is the drugs.
mhm.
That's at the end of the day, that's what's important, because you can't have a normal day without it.
So did you and her kind of transition into harder stuff together, or did that come
No,
later?
I did not. I could not at that time. The weirdest thing is at that time I could not stand hard drugs. She was into it before me, and basically I helped change her life. She
Okay,
never got back into it because of me.
okay.
Could not at that time. I couldn't even really. I wasn't even messing with pills.
Mhm,
Because I didn't move back to my parents. I'd only do drugs like pills. I
mhm,
smoked weed all the time,
sure.
but I pills when I moved back after that family left. I moved out to get away from it because I was
Mhm,
like, I don't want to. My life's out of control.
mhm,
I moved back to my mom's for a little bit of structure and stability, and just like, you're out in the country, you don't have friends in
mhm,
the town. I had two stoplights and a subway.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, I moved back there to get away from that. So when I got with her, I really wasn't even into the pills. I do them here and there, but I didn't wake up and be like, oh man, I need pills.
mhm,
Not blaming her, but I got hardcore to the doctor and all that because of her,
mhm,
because she always wanted to do them.
mhm,
So I was like, oh, I could go to the doctor easy, get some pills. And I did.
mhm,
She always had a problem. Don't know why. I don't know. But she always had a problem getting them from, the doctor or something
mhm,
like that. It was a little more difficult. But I never got into the hard drugs because I couldn't stand them at the time.
mhm.
Wanted nothing to do with them.
So you're working at the time?
Yeah, I've always worked. I worked like northern area. I did RVs and stuff like
Mhm,
that, built campers. So I made pretty good money.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was, so even up there, drugs were huge.
sure.
Um, but yeah, I would say when I got with her, I got hard into the pills, and it was like, I realized, I guess I probably wouldn't say I was addicted
Mhm,
to people, but I knew I was hooked. I
yeah,
knew I was, it consumed my life.
mhm,
I guess I didn't understand what the word addiction meant,
mhm,
of the weight it carries.
sure.
Addiction to me is just more than a word now.
Yeah,
Um, it can, I mean, it takes your life,
mhm,
takes everything that you love away.
yeah,
Um, Addiction is a whole nother world.
mm,
Just, I think people that don't understand it can just say, oh, you were addicted. To me, it was more like addiction is, I found later on with the pills, I was addicted, yeah, but I wasn't like deep,
mhm.
like lost. Uh, I could still see the light at the end of the tunnel.
So like, so you mentioned, so like early life, like we're partying, right? That's what
Yeah.
high school kids do. That's what
Yeah.
college kids do. But then there becomes this time where like drug, substance, like they take, we see this, you've experienced this, you've lived this, like as a cop, I see this with people, like it becomes this like all consuming, like dark, from I've got to go get my dope. I've got to go get my dope. Just
Yeah.
becomes this like all consuming thing. Like, when do you remember that to start? When did life start looking more like that than a party?
I mean, it definitely started with the pills.
Hmm.
Like, you know, couldn't really make it anywhere in life because any extra money we had, you'd put off the rent. We're living off the government.
Hmm.
So rent, I think we got paid to
Hmm.
live there. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
I think we got paid like $25 for electricity. All we had to do was pay for electricity.
Hmm.
So, and I'm working. She never worked. Uh, she quit her job the second day we started dating and never worked again. And I've always worked, always been a worker. I just knew that's how, it's the only way you're going to live a nice life
Hmm.
is get out there and work. But yeah, our paychecks would go to, I don't know, so we got food stamps. So
Yeah.
we'd sell those and trade those for drugs sometimes.
Hmm.
So I'd imagine it like, yeah, for sure. The pills were huge. And I was starting to be a dealer. I
Hmm.
wasn't so much a user. I was doing both. I was dealing to,
Hmm.
cover my user part,
Sure.
selling weed to try to make money off that, which, now I think about it, like, there's so much risk in selling stuff and you don't really make jack off
Yeah.
of it. Like, you might think you do, but dude, there's just, it's silly. But yeah, I was selling stuff to basically handle my pill addiction because
Hmm.
it did grab a hold of me. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah.
Um, I was definitely relying on it for sure.
Hmm.
I mean, every day, some people that smoke cigarettes or whatever, and I did at the time, but some people, how they get up and they got to smoke a cigarette, drink a cup of coffee, or go pee before. But I did a pill before I even went pee
Hmm.
in the mornings. That's just how it was. I mean,
Sure.
it was normal. If we didn't have it, I would text everybody in my entire phone book to get one. And the feeling um, to have one and do one was just like, oh man, yeah, life's good now.
Yeah.
Now I can start my day.
So, like, when do?
I would say like 18, 19.
Okay.
Like, because I had my first kid when I was 19. So 19, I started, addiction became
Hmm.
addiction to me. I mean, it really never left me
Yeah.
until, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Yeah. When do like police start getting involved and that kind of?
Uh, Easily around then. I'm already dipping and diving. I'm getting pulled over. Um, I'm, I notice it now. Obviously, you start getting pulled over, and then we're like, screw the cops,
Hmm.
in a little more unpolite way.
Yeah. You can
Uh,
give it to me full to
yeah, yeah. But anyways, we're dipping and diving. We're playing that cycle with you
Hmm.
guys. You pull us over, and I'm trying to figure out. I already know why I get pulled over. I'm being harassed. All that.
Hmm.
I take you to court, sue, all that crap. Uh, Obviously, it's because my car and I am being places that I shouldn't, or that could be on your guys' radar at the time.
Sure.
So then, obviously, when you see our cars constantly going in and out, yeah,
Yeah.
you become not just a citizen, you become a priority
Hmm.
at that point. And yeah, I would say young age. I mean, I went to jail. First time I ever went to jail was, I think a week after I turned 18. Went
Okay.
to jail.
What'd that look like?
Uh, yeah, I don't know, not fun. I mean, but I didn't care. I was in the life. Like,
Hmm.
um, basically, it was this freaking grocery store. Uh, no, it wasn't. It wasn't the grocery store. Grocery store was part of it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I was around this crowd when I was 17, living back in my mom's town
Hmm.
and running around with them, drugs, partying and stuff like that. But then I started hanging out with these other two people that were into like breaking into stuff and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Well, we went to this friend's house where we're supposed to smoke weed with this kid.
Hmm.
I mean, the kid invited us over. we're supposed to be smoking weed, and all of a sudden we hear this window break, and they were trying to break into the kid's house. It's like something about a safe or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they broke the windows. The neighbors already, because we're out in, BFE, dude,
Mm-hmm.
and we're pacing this house. And then you get out, and it's one white guy or two white guys, a black guy, walking around this house. It looks pretty suspicious. And it's actually, two of, I thought, my good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then this car drops you off and you take off. Well, what I thought we were doing and what they were doing was two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So they break this window, and the cops already, this car starts coming down this long driveway, and they're like, run. So growing up, somebody says run, I never sat there and thought why. And just run.
Yeah.
That means cops are involved. You are running.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember taking off running through this woods, and we ended up running into this little barn. I don't know, a loft. It was like a loft area where this, farmer, old people had their campers, stuff like that. So the open face is open, the face of it.
Yeah.
And we're hiding. We know cops are coming. We already hear the sirens and all this stuff. They're about a quarter of a mile down the road at the house that just got the window broke. And we're hiding, and we're calling this guy, and we're like, dude, we're still this day. I knew I should have climbed up the silo. I knew I should have. I didn't. I followed them. Followed them into there. We're sitting there and like, hey man, my buddy's coming to pick us up. Well, they're like, hey, he's here. Cause we're looking out this little nail hole, like just peeking out of it, trying to see. And I hear tires pulling the driveway. He's like, oh dude, it's him. He's here. So I take off running, and I run around, and it's a freaking squad car. And I instantly dive back in there. And I said, I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's a cop.
Yeah.
And he's like, did he see you? Well, this guy's so smart. This is how smart this old man. It was an old man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he pulls out of the driveway. I'm like, dude, he didn't see us. Hey, and we're sitting. I remember we're standing on the back of this camper that's backed into this loft. So there's like very little room. We're just standing there looking out a nail hole out of the barn. And I was like, dude, he's leaving. We're good. Because we're out in the county.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see miles from this corner. We're at it like a 4-way. We're at this house on a 4-way. So we can see miles from all over. And I'm watching him go. I'm like, oh, he didn't see me. Because I made a quick move back. So I was like, he either seen me or he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But he did. But he leaves. And I'm not kidding you, about 3 minutes later, when we think we finally got him, an entire fleet of cops show up from all angles. They're driving through cornfields, coming from the back. They all just swarm.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking at him, and I was like, and all he said was, we're fucked. That's all he said. He said, we're fucked. And I'm sitting there because he's used to it. He's already been in jail a couple times. I'm like, dude, what do we do? I'm freaking out. He's like, I was like, what do we do? And he said, we're fucked. He said, we'll be all right. We're just fucked though. And they're going through the camper. The camper's rocking. We're standing on the back of the bumper, and it's rocking. I mean, they're ramsacking that camper. And it was just a matter of time before they come. And I remember that old man, because I seen his face when I ran out of that loft. And I remember he come around the camper, and he had his gun out, and he kind of just pokes around, looks around the back of the camper. I mean, because obviously they're thinking of breaking and entering. So they have their guns out.
Sure.
This isn't like, tasers. Their firearms are out.
Absolutely.
And he pokes around. I see the barrel of the gun before I see his head. And I'm just looking, I mean, huge eyes. I'm just staring at him, just waiting for him to see me. And I like scared him. And he was like, he jumped. He was like, get the fuck on the ground. He just started screaming at me. I'm freaking out. I've never been in like this situation. There's 20 cops there, dogs, everything. Like, could you just, it's hard. It's funny now, but it's like, dude, just imagine sitting there and all you hear is dogs, cars slamming, people running, guns are out. And he ended up telling me, they're telling me they all back up once they just scatter back, and then they're like marching out orders to get us out. And I get out, and they're like, get on your knees and all that, put your hands on your head and all that stuff. And I did. And that old man, still this day, freaking slammed me to the ground. I mean, hard. Like, he was mad at me or something. But yeah, he slammed me to the ground. They're putting my hands, behind my back and all that stuff. And then I'm sitting in a squad car. I still got gravel stuck to my forehead because I was just down on the ground. And he's like, you want to tell me what's going on? I said, I don't know. I'm just out for a jog, bud. He said, that's what we're going with. I said, write it down, take a picture, do whatever you got to do. I said, I was out for a jog.
Yeah.
I'm in this South Pole coat with a fur around the rim, white Air Forces, baggy pants, like just
living that ghetto
life.
Oh
man, I was something.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I was 18.
Yeah.
Like a week after, ended up spending, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. I don't know what it was. It was first experience, and it did nothing to me.
Yeah.
Went to jail, got out, thought I was, cool as crap. Dude.
Yeah, probably.
Dude.
Absolute badass now. Time tested.
Dude.
And
telling you what, dude. I was Timmy Tough Knuckles. I'm telling you. But yeah, I did nothing. So at a young age, I already went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And so I already had that mindset that, I'm cool and jail's cool and I'm a Billy, badass.
Any thoughts of like, well, already did that, so now it's game time. Do whatever I want to do, or not?
Yeah,
really?
well, I thought I was smarter. Like I always thought I was smarter than you guys.
Mm-hmm. You thought the cops would believe you're out jogging?
Yeah, no, I just knew the
Shut
situation.
Up and don't talk.
Yeah, like, dude, I literally said, "There's nothing. I'm in handcuffs.
Yeah.
I'm going to jail.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, there's nothing that's going to change us. Just take me to jail."
Yeah,
because at that time, I literally had no idea what was going on. I did not know they were trying to break into that place. Would I have been a part of it if I knew? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I wouldn't have, but at that time, I had no idea that's what was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in jail, and I remember going to court. I'm like, dude, I'm getting out. This is the craziest thing. So we're in jail. We have court. We go to court. I tell the judge I had nothing to do with it. All this stuff. I'm innocent. Obviously you're not. You're guilty because you're there.
Yeah.
What is it? Guilty by association or whatever. But anyways, I'm there. Crime was committed. And I'm telling this guy, dude, like any other idiot up there, dude, I had nothing to do with it. I promise you. Like and the judge is asking, well, why were you there? What do you want me to tell the judge? That I was out for a jog out in BFE when it's like, -10.
Yeah.
But yeah. And the crazy thing is then the guy that did do it went up there, told the judge, Mr. had nothing to do with this. It was all me. He was just with us, blah, blah, blah. The judge looked at him. This is when like reality hit me a little bit while I was there of like, when you're in trouble, you're not given anything. Your rights and everything are stripped right away. And the judge looked at that guy and said, you need to worry about yourself, not him.
Yeah.
He pled guilty. He was like, he told me in line, he was like, I remember before we're sitting in there, I'm in this freaking jumpsuit that's like 10 times too small, like look like Baby Gap. Put my arms up, you see my nipples. Like it, and they made me go to court like that. And he's like, dude, just admit to it. Like, we'll be out today. I said, no, I didn't do it. I said, I ain't admitted to crap. He goes to court, admits to it, pleads guilty. He's out that day. Yeah, I mean, he gets out. I'm sitting in jail because I'm saying I didn't do it because I really didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I sat there for a while and they ended up like I did a plea bargain, basically paid for the window, and they drop all charges on me because obviously they had a confession of the kid that did it. But the crazy thing is that, sitting in there and then I get out, you would think, holy smokes, like I never want to be in there. I didn't ever mind jail.
Yeah.
I was a mean person. I was a decently sized guy. I already had the mentality like going in there, I can tell why for some people that is the scariest thing in the entire world. I get it. I do. I get the process. I get the fear.
But if you've already lived the life,
I already lived that fear at, age 5.
Yeah.
Like, anything that could make me fearful was already out the window. I
Mhm.
wasn't scared of nothing at that time.
Yeah.
So jail was not something, and that's the scary thing is what people don't understand. When you live the life you live and you're brought up in the trauma and all that craziness, jail's not gonna do nothing for you. It's
Mhm.
just boring. And
Yeah.
that's all it was to me. It was boring.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on outside. That's it. That's the only thing that was just
Mhm.
not fun.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say at night 18, jail, and then thought I was on top of the world and continued living the, crap life for quite some time.
What's kind of the next big moment or memory in that season?
I ended up leaving the girl I had a kid with because
Mhm.
I knew I did not want to live that life. And I also knew she was never going to leave that life.
Yeah.
And if I stayed with her, I'm just going to be that person
Yeah.
that I don't want to be. The crappy, parent, the parent that can't give their kid everything in the world because all they care about is drugs. I
Mhm.
knew that. And I always told her that at a young, like early in our relationship, as soon as our kid knows who dad is, I'm gone.
Mhm.
And I did. I left.
She kept the kid, or
Yeah. Like, well, obviously, I mean, Indiana's a mom state.
yeah.
And the mom's got to be a royal piece of crap before a dad ever gets full
Yeah.
custody, or they got to, agree to it. Obviously, the life I chose,
Yeah.
she's going to want money and
Mhm.
she's going to want the kid and all that. That's just
Mhm.
how it goes. But she kept the kid for, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks. Kid was always with me,
Okay.
always. Uh,
You're kind of bouncing back at mom's house then, or
no, I had my own place.
okay.
So once I left there, I mean, I made really good money.
Mhm.
I don't know, $30, $40 an hour,
Yeah.
if you hourly do it, sometimes 50,
Mhm.
60, depending on the check. Cause you get paid like 8 something an hour, but you make all your money off bonuses
Mhm.
and, really good money. So I could afford cars, house, stuff like
Mhm.
that. So when I left, I already had my own place and I ended up leaving and, then she got into the hard stuff and living with, hanging out and dating these guys while I'm trying to battle at that time. At that time, I turned away from them
Mhm.
because I was so focused on getting my kid.
Yeah.
And that was all I cared about at the time.
Mm.
But yeah, I ended up meeting at that time, I would say a year, 2 years, maybe. I was by myself, single, trying to, go back and forth with her. And I ended up meeting my wife again. I ended up messaging her because I always try to hit her up like
Mhm.
over the year. Never worked.
Yeah.
She was in college. She was 2 years young or a year younger than me. Oh man, I might screw this up. She's a year. Yeah. She's year or two.
We can
Let's
cut
get
that part
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's all right.
But I'd always hit her up and I ended up, messenger on Facebook or something. She came over, hung out, never left really
Yeah.
since then. At that point in time, I was battling with, my first baby mama.
Mhm.
She's in deep into the hard drugs. I've tried to help her. I took her back in. She basically screwed me over again, kicked her back out of my house because she was into meth at that
Mhm.
time. So here I am fighting, getting my kid. My oldest son was living with me. He's probably 3
Mhm.
years old, 2 years old. He's living with me, goes and sees her is how I'd always say it, but she had full custody. I didn't give a crap. I was paying child support,
Mhm.
but didn't care because
Mhm.
I had my kid.
Yeah.
Ended up meeting my wife, Madison. I don't know if I'm allowed to say
Yeah, that's fine.
her name,
That's up to you.
but yeah, I met Madison and she's a super good girl. Like drinks water, man.
Mhm.
That's it. Maybe would drink here and there at a young age because you
Mhm.
got to think we met when I was 22, maybe
Okay.
24, somewhere in there.
Okay. Because you guys had met when you were young, but now she's back in the
Yeah,
picture
I,
at like
like
22.
yeah, like I said, freshman year of high school, she was
Mhm.
obsessed with me.
Mhm.
Uh, had all my she'll tell you still to this day. So she had all my senior year pictures on her iPod,
Mhm.
like with
Back in the iPod days.
yeah,
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 buddy.
yeah. She had those. I'm serious. She was
Yeah.
obsessed with me,
Yeah.
and but yeah, we ended up and this is how crazy the world works. Is we went completely opposite ways.
Mhm.
I went into the hard life, like. We tried to date before then, and I remember we went to a house and I started smoking weed. She
Mhm.
did not like that.
Mhm.
Like, never would talk to me again. So all the times I'd hit her up again,
Mhm.
didn't want nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Uh, you could just tell I was the life that I lived. I
Sure.
was a
And
rough.
she went off to college and
Yep, she went off to college, and I went my route. Ended up
Mhm.
having a kid,
Mhm.
and I was thinking, man, she would want nothing to do with me. Well, I
Sure.
ended up messaging her, and I was like, hey, how you been? She actually just graduated college. And, we started talking, and I was like, hey, you just want to hang out? Well, we ended up hanging out. She came to my house because I had my own,
Mhm.
literally my own house.
Mhm.
And I remember she came over and hung out. Um, and I was just thinking, man, I'm not going to do nothing with her. I'm not going to treat her like, a
Mhm.
piece of crap or another, screw or lay.
Mhm.
And she came over, never left.
Yeah.
I told her I had kids. I had a son at that time, and she was amazing. She was, by far my saving grace, even at that point in
Mhm.
my life, even though later on I kind of fell off deep.
Mhm.
Um, but she came in, she was, straight to, my son, like a mother
Mhm.
figure. I mean,
Yeah.
right away,
Yeah.
like a mother that he deserved. It kind of reminded me of she was the same as the family that took me in. That's the life she was giving and the love she was giving
Mhm.
to, my oldest son.
Yeah. So she grew up in a structured
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, not into, the drugs and stuff. Like I
Mhm.
said, she maybe a drank in
Sure.
college or
Yeah.
whatever, something like
Very
that.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she didn't even know I was on drugs. Like
Yeah.
at that time, I'm still getting prescribed
Mhm.
pills. Um, she never knew I was on them because you could never tell.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't the type that would nod out and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I didn't have the mood swings and stuff like that. But I was also behind scenes
Mhm.
doing what I do,
Yeah.
selling, buying, talking to the people that I'm talking to. But yet I met her and I'm like, oh man, the life that I want is achievable with her.
Mhm.
And I knew that.
So do you feel like kind of like this debate of like honesty and hiding stuff, like, and just kind of like had this facade around her, or like were you honest with any much of this at all, or not really with her?
I hid I hid the dark side of me for
Mhm.
sure. Obviously she knew, like I said, she knew of the fighting
Mhm.
and the trouble because at that time when we first met, going back, so I always knew growing up I'd go to jail for fighting. Knew
Mhm.
that, would tell everybody that.
Mhm.
And I ended up doing that before I met her. I actually beat these guys up on the side of a highway. Uh, beat them, beat them pretty bad, to be
Mhm.
honest. Put one of them in the hospital, and so I'm looking at serious charges at this time. I already
Mhm.
got arrested.
So like felony battery.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Skipped the misdemeanors, went straight to a felony,
Mhm.
and then it was like a couple other misdemeanors or something.
Mhm.
Anyways, it was like road rage,
Mhm.
So when I met her, I was easy with it. Like I didn't know how to break it. Like she knew I was kind of in trouble, and then I'm like lying about, the drugs and all this stuff and how deep I was. But I even told her, I was like, hey, I'm thinking I'm going to prison at this time. I'm like, I'm at some serious charges. And um, that's when we met it. And then I think it was right before court or whatever, I was getting sentenced, where she's like, look, I'm not going to leave you. Like, well, I'll wait. I ended up getting house arrest out of it. Ended up dropping it from a 5 to a 6, a felony.
Mhm.
And then ended up letting me do house arrest or something crazy like
Mhm.
that. Even though I had a house in Manchester, I had to have they gave me, the crazy thing is they gave me 3 days to find a residence in the county that I was in trouble in.
Mm-hmm.
And, or I was going to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up doing that. And that's how, she stayed with me at my aunt's.
Mm-hmm.
I went and moved in with my aunt.
Yeah.
And she moved with me.
Yeah. Just to get house arrest. So you're not ending up in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Then obviously, eventually, I was allowed to transfer back to the place because I was still paying. I was paying for a house even though I was living with my aunt.
Yeah. So you got a conviction on that felony. How old were you then?
21,
Okay.
24, 23, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. I would say 24, somewhere around there.
Okay. So you're on house arrest, probation.
Yeah.
You're on paper. Does that help anything as far as like the pills and that kind of stuff, or not really?
No, because I basically manipulated the person that was in charge of the house arrest, so I never stopped.
Okay. You want to go into that at all?
I don't care. So I manipulated her. Basically,
real quick, is this your first time like on paper at this point? Okay.
Yeah. It's not the first time I went to jail, but the first time like there's repercussions of my actions for sure. I was true to it for maybe like 2 weeks, and being the master, because I was a master manipulator. I really was. It came with the lifestyle that I lived.
Sure.
I was young, good looking, quick with my words, could weasel my way out of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, screw it, give this a shot. It's either going to work or fail. And that's kind of the life I lived, my entire life. Basically, fired my shot and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I ended up sleeping with her.
It's like probation officer.
Yeah, community correction.
Okay.
Like head honcho.
Yeah.
Don't get any higher.
Yeah.
So I did. Basically slept with her. There was never no motive of like trying to be in a relationship. I had one motive, and that was if I can get her to cross this line, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
The drugs, everything like that. Because I was prescribed drugs, so I could only do one. But and I had to live in the county that I got in trouble in, which, like I said, living at my aunt's, paying for a house that's empty.
Yep.
Bummer. So I ended up manipulating her, and I take most of the blame for it. I really did. But I mean,
yeah, it's a 50-50 though still.
Yeah. I made the first jump, but I mean, I just can't believe it because the position she's in, the person that she is, and stuff like that. And it worked. So then Madison was just done with college, and she was basically like, hey, I'm not going to live there anymore. So I was like, okay, let's move you back and fully move her in with me. Well, so we're moving her stuff into my house in a different county because I'm living over here in this county because this is where I'm in trouble. I'm on house arrest. And then I finally get to transfer back to my home because obviously I'm hitting on and
So we'll kind of recap here, make sure I got all this right. So catch a first felony, get a conviction, end up on house arrest. You had a house of your own, which you moved in with your aunt in the county in which you got in trouble.
Yeah.
That way you could actually get the house arrest.
Yeah, because at the first it was legit. Like the judge was like, they sentenced me, and I thought I was going to prison. They literally sentenced me to, I don't know what it was, freaking a year and a half or something, DOT or something, like sentenced me where they instantly put handcuffs on me because I went in there obviously on my own, regular street clothes, bam, instantly handcuffed me while I'm in after he sentenced me. And I'm like, dude, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
Then the judge came in or went down, talked to that house arrest, was like, hey, this kid's never been in trouble. Can we do something?
She said, he's cute. I'll take him.
Yeah. Had to. You know what I mean? Had to. And because at this point, I'm plastered all over 5 different counties on the front page. I'm on news. I'm on everything, road rage, all this stuff with my mugshot. And
so then your girlfriend's You guys weren't married at the time, so
No, just my girlfriend.
yeah, now your wife
Yeah.
is living. Did she move into your aunt's place?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then now you're moving her back into your
So she
house.
kind of would jump back and forth a
Mhm.
little bit. Like she took care of my house back in the other county
Okay.
and then, go to her mom's. Cause I mean, we're surrounding counties.
Mhm.
Like we're not
Yeah,
driving
yeah.
5 hours
Yeah,
apart.
yeah.
Where I lived was the surrounding county of where I got in trouble.
Sure.
And then where her parents lived was the other surrounding. So it was
Mhm.
like a circle. But yeah, she was living there.
Mhm.
Uh, and at that time, like basically I got deeper into stuff because I manipulated that person and I could do what I want.
Yeah.
Like I went and moved my wife,
Mhm.
girlfriend at the time, back home. Dude, that's like hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Mhm.
I'm on house arrest.
Mhm.
And then I'm allowed to go move back to my home to
Mhm.
where typically the county you move to supervises.
Sure.
That is not how this worked.
Yeah.
She personally would come to my house and supervise,
Mhm.
do house checks. Well, she didn't do much of the checking of the house.
Yeah. So like when you get this jail sentence, so they say this, sentence, whatever the amount of time was, year and a half, I think you thought maybe it was like,
In town, like I got 5 years, I
okay.
think.
So like at all, was that, obviously it transitions here shortly after, but like, was that at all like an eye opener, or was it still like, I'm young, I'm pissed off at the world, I'm King Kong, like, or was there
No,
like,
I think it was an eye opener when he hit me with the sentence of like 5 years or
Mhm.
whatever, 4.5, 5.5, somewhere around
Mhm.
there, to where I was like, oh crap, like that's a lot of time.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to change my life. I got a second chance, got house arrest, and somewhere to where I'm not, as what I tell people is, God might have healed me, but I wasn't fully healed. I wasn't fully invested into him. I
Sure.
only got a glimpse of him.
Sure.
And so I was always, any chance I got to go back to my old ways, I did it.
Yeah.
And
It's human nature though.
yeah, talking to her and stuff, I'd, have to go in and check in with her. I would just get this weird vibe.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And I did. And it worked.
Yeah.
And then it was just hell on wheels from there because
Do you feel like at all like it was a betrayal of the system, or just like, no, that's what I wanted and it got me into a little less out of
I
trouble?
think it's easy for people to bash the system.
Sure.
But I think it happens. Everybody's human. She made a bad choice.
Mhm.
I made a bad choice. I don't blame the system at all.
Mhm.
I don't think, oh yeah, you guys suck because all this, because at
Mhm.
the time I got what I wanted.
Sure.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care who was at fault, what lives I destroyed, because I'm not going to get charged with anything more. They
Mhm.
might take my house arrest away and really put me in, but she's the one that's risking it all.
Yeah,
So like,
sure.
I don't think the system failed me. I think I failed the system.
Mhm.
Um,
But nevertheless, a system that's in place
yes.
to rehabilitate, at least to some degree, a person who does, commits a crime. And yet, your story, you kind of got the keys to the kingdom,
Yeah.
do whatever you want, free reign. So where does it go from there?
But I would say though, to bounce off that, is the system only knows and can only help off of a rap sheet.
Sure.
What they type your name in and what your charges are. They can only get an idea of what they think is going on. They didn't know about my drugs.
Mhm.
They didn't know about my childhood. They didn't know about the trauma. So unless I step up and say I need help on this,
Yeah.
the system's never fully going to help. So the system was just doing what it does, and
Mhm.
I committed a crime. They charged me with it, and this is what I'm supposed to do. They didn't know nothing about, the stuff that I went through or the stuff that I'm going through. So they really couldn't help me much. I mean, other than give me time. But after that, I mean, uh, I would say, actually, I would bounce back to even before I got in trouble and before I met my wife, I did dabble with meth.
Mhm.
My grandpa, yeah, I did. It was 2018, 2019 in that area. My grandpa, my grandparents that I was talking about
Mhm.
were most important people in my life. You know, they never knew the life I lived, the drugs, none of that. I never cussed around them, nothing. I'd be heartbroken if they ever knew about the drugs and stuff.
Mhm.
But he ended up passing away. Well, his son, so it's my grandpa. That's not my biological grandpa. It's just the
Okay.
only one I ever knew.
Okay.
Passed away. So me being the guy I am, how I deal with trauma and hurt and all that, drugs.
Mhm.
Well, his son, I started doing meth. He's like, I'm tired. I'm going from work to the hospital when he was in the hospital, back and forth,
Mhm.
not sleeping. I was just in a bad spot. I was
Mhm.
tired, the drugs, the Adderall, all that, it wasn't working.
Mhm.
And he was like, here, you want to try this? And I was like, at that time, I'm just like, no, I don't. Um, I wasn't into the meth. I ended
Mhm.
up trying it, and it's everything that you'd ever want,
Yeah.
when you're in that life.
What was that like? Like first meth usage? Like what do you remember?
Uh, it's what it's what they say that hooks you. It's a high that you'll chase for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
uh, which is what they call the first high.
Mhm.
Your first hit, the feeling of just like on top of the world, literally every stress in your life gone. One hit, one snort, one shot, whatever your
Mhm.
preference of doing it, gone right
Mhm.
away. You feel like you're on top of the world. But that's the only good time of that whole entire addiction because you'll never get that high again.
Yeah.
It's just always downhill from
Yeah.
there. But yeah, started dabbling in that. Ended up when I met Madison, she changed my life. Stopped, wasn't
Mhm.
doing that.
So had
Was
done some meth before she came back into your life, and
yes,
then
like
stopped then.
maybe 2-3 times. First
Yeah.
time I ever did it, I was with my aunt.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, these are people that's supposed to love me, care about me, want the best for me. Um, First time I ever did it was with my aunt,
Yeah.
and obviously him too.
Mhm.
But she's the one that took me over there,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, because I didn't talk to the guy like that.
Mhm.
Uh, Always knew him was around because it's my grandparents. It's where my grandma lived, my grandpa. Uh, but she was like, oh yeah, he's got it. So we drive over there. I remember we drove over there together. Went upstairs in my grandpa's house because he's passed away. So my grandma and grandpa kind of split, but they were together. But she lived in a different place because she couldn't stand his son, couldn't stand him.
Mhm.
So she lived over there. So here I go. This is what drugs do. I go to my grandfather's house that, is sick. He hasn't, I guess I would say he hasn't passed away at that time. Sick, go over there. And I'm in his house upstairs doing drugs,
Mhm.
hard drugs for the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's just, it sucks.
Yeah.
But that was just part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Part of the addiction.
Yeah. So now you're on house arrest. Obviously, you've dabbled. You know what these things are.
Yeah.
They've been a
Yeah.
part of your life. They've not been a part of your life. They've been a part of your life. They've not been a part of your life. How long are you on house arrest for?
Over a year,
Okay.
year and a half, maybe.
You like kind of, even though you're doing everything you wanted to
Yeah,
do, did you
I was.
successfully complete that
Yeah.
in the judge's eyes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to. She had
Yeah.
no choice.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I was still, I'd tell her, hey, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
fail this drug test. Cause I knew the days. They say it's random, but they see the dates.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she would tell me,
Sure.
hey, you're on this. I remember one time where she went on vacation or something. Somebody else was overseeing me or whatever. Well, she didn't tell me they were overseeing or they weren't supposed to be overseeing me, something like that. And I go in there and I'm sitting in her office and dude, I'd go to the tanning bed. This
Hmm.
golfing, I did it all.
Yeah.
There was nothing I didn't do. I literally lived life like I didn't have something on my ankle.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in there and I hear, holy shit, he has been, look at where he's been. And I'm just like, oh man, dude, what? Oh, I'm screwed. I'm cooked. This
Because
is where
this
it
other
is.
person's looking at it.
Yeah, this other
Yeah.
person. Well, she's head honcho. So she basically, put him in check and used her authority, I would imagine, her ranking or whatever you call it, to shut him up. And basically, he had permission and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Because when I walk in there, he says, how was the tanning bed? I just looked at him like, huh? Because I just left the tanning bed before I got there.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at him like, what the hell? How do you know that?
Yeah.
I was like, good, I guess. And then I go in the office and then I literally heard him because they can pull up a map and see all your pinging and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically mine looked like an ant maze. I was all over. I
just living life.
Yeah, I was all over Indiana.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. But I wasn't. I ended up completing it at this time. I'm basically not sleeping with her. I only slept with her one time, and it was solely to get what I want. Sure. And that is what addiction and manipulation will do. I will destroy anybody's life. And that's basically what I would have done to her. Destroyed her life if anybody ever found out that, I ended up getting a house in the county, like where my dad lived and stuff. Ended up getting a house like that. I'm slowly trying to build my life because, opiates are still in my life, but I'm not as hardcore, and I'm trying to get away from the town I was, mainly in. Cause I thought all my problems were in the towns I lived in. So if I just kept hopping around, leave my problems there, it's no, but really the problem was me. Yeah. Go to a new place, fresh start, got a nice house, working, got a great woman, my kids with me most of the time, only going to visit his mom, maybe a couple days here and there. Life was amazing. I wasn't into the hard stuff. I was just strictly sticking to my opiates.
So is Madison, who's now your wife, like, is she second guessing or questioning anything at this point, or not really?
No, she knows. So she's so naive, and she eventually I somehow mentioned to her about I snort them. I don't eat them. And I give her this bullcrap line of, it's just so it gets into my blood system faster. And the doctor said, and all this. This is how naive she is. She believed it. So she would know, but I would never do it in front of her. I would always, crush it up and turn my back or go out to the garage and do it. So it was normal to her. Her boyfriend just was prescribed pain meds because he was injured. Yeah. Because I did have legit injuries. I mean, I went to a specialist because there for a minute she thought I was, full of crap. And go to a specialist, and they're like, no, like he should have surgery, which was enough to, continue to manipulate her. And I mean, I was still heavy into the pills.
You're still doing Adderall at all then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anytime, like working up north and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I was still into the speed and stuff like that, but pills for sure. But I was living a nicer life. I was basically living a false life is what I was doing. Painting a picture that wasn't true.
What's kind of the next big memory, or maybe even like event with the cops, or?
I would say like I was free with I got off house arrest and I was good there. Me and Madison ended up finally getting pregnant. Was having a boy, and at this time see how that works. So she was pregnant. We were expecting a boy, or we didn't know at the time. Actually, he was a surprise baby. It's our first child together, supposed to be in a healthy, just totally different scenario than the first one I had. Hired like a photographer to do the pictures at birth, all this, because it's a surprise and all this. And we ended up, she had a perfect pregnancy, full term, all that great stuff. And we ended up going there, and then like slowly but surely everything started going south. And we go in there. They're like, hey, you're uh, we're gonna have to, maybe induce you or whatever. You're dilating, but not fast enough. And then we're sitting there, and then they're like, hey, we're gonna do this and dilate you more. And then she ended up getting to a point where she was like, hey, I do want the epidural and all that stuff. And we get there, and this is like, it's a long process. And we have the lady that's supposed to do our pictures. We end up going in there like, hey, you might want to think about C-section because she's not dilating anymore. I think it was past 5 or something like that. And then, which broke her heart because she wanted to have a natural birth. I can't, wrap my head around why.
Yeah.
But
We're guys who don't understand all that, but yeah.
Yeah, so that, to me, I was just like, hey, C-sections are the safest way because it's prepared. They know what's coming, all that stuff. So I was like, super okay with me. Broke her heart. I mean, destroyed her. So then why we're, trying to get through that of the possibility, it went from they come barging in because all the things are beeping and going off to where there is no possibility we're going now.
Yeah.
At the time, his heart rate, I believe, spiked, and we're going in there. So mind you, she's never had a kid, so she don't really know the process. I've already been through it. So we go back to this room, and they're supposed to wait on me and all this stuff. They're not putting off how serious it truly is. And I go in there, and they already got her cut open. And thankfully she had an epidural, because as fast as all this stuff happened, she wouldn't have been able to, which is just wild. So I go in there, she's already cut open. I'm trying to be there for her. She's shaking, just like, I don't know, they call it the shock or something. I don't know. She's just constantly shaking. And have the kid pull it out. So mind you, we don't know the sex. It's supposed to be, they're supposed to tell us, and we're supposed to be happy. And they basically pull him out. And then the guy that does like the epidural and all that, I don't know his correct name, but he's like, oh, it's a boy. That's all we get. Me, so there's a curtain. I can see past the curtain. She cannot. So I'm kind of sitting on the side. And dude, they flip this baby so fast. And there's always a team in there in case things go sideways. Well, they flip the baby. I'm not hearing them. I hear one little that was it. Flipped him so fast, handed him off to those people. They put him in the little, so I know the process. You have the kid, they do everything. The baby stays in the room. This, bam, so fast. Baby was out. They took off. And I instantly knew what was wrong. Madison had no idea. She's like, oh, how's he doing? And I was like, oh, they're just going to go clean him up and stuff and bring him back. She has no idea what's going on. I already knew at that point in time something bad's happening. Well, the doctor comes in. They're like, hey, Zach, come with me. I'm like, all right. I come out of the room, and I instantly asked her, I said, what is wrong with my son? And they're like, well, he's just having a little problems adjusting it. And I literally said, I don't want to hear that bullshit. Is my son going to live? She said, I don't know. So they take me into the room, like I don't even know what they call it, but, so he was born with 2 holes in his lungs. And it is the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I walk in there, he looks like an alien, does not look like a baby, not the right colors, just doesn't, it's not right. It's not okay. And his chest is, so when the babies are born, they don't obviously have bones like we do. So he has holes in his lungs. So basically when he breathes, his chest would go flat to the table so fast. I mean, just, so here I am, and they have like a hand thing on his face. So here they are pumping. I'm freaking out thinking, they said they called for a helicopter. Helicopter's coming. Helicopter got delayed. I think it was weather, fog or whatever. So they're like, hey, they called for an ambulance. So they bring this rocket ship. That's what I called it. Looked like a cylinder freaking rocket.
Yeah.
Brought it in. Well, anyways, I'm sitting there, and they're like, hey, do you want to hold him? Because because they're saying there's nothing else they can do. They think he's going to die. I said, no, that's not my place. I said, that's hers. Like
Mhm.
she carried him. She, she deserves that, not me.
Mhm.
At the time, I would say everything kind of hit me like I'm a piece of crap. All the crap I did, because even with her, I was never faithful with her. I slept with a probation person or
Mhm.
house arrest lady. I always lied to her. I was constantly living in a lie. Was never faithful. Um, Kind of all hit me right then and there. I was
Mhm.
like, man, they asked me to hold him. And it's like, I don't deserve that.
Mm.
Like, I'm a piece of crap. So I was like, I just need to get back with her. Um, because I didn't know what was going on. How I looked at it is I held his hand. I put my finger in his hand, and it just laid there. And I'm just thinking, holy crap, what about her?
Mhm.
Like, cause she's naive. She's never been in it. Here she is in an operating room by herself, shaking. Nobody's in there. Uh, so I go back there, and the doctor was like, hey, I'll help you tell her. And I said, you're not going to say a word to her. She's like, well, and I said, nope. I said, you're not going to say nothing. You're just going to shut up. And we go back in the room. I walk in there, and so I'm bawling. You know, uh, our family's there. Nobody knows how serious this is. I am the only person in the mix of this. Uh, I'm bawling, going down the hallway, everything. Wipe my face off and just shut it off, just like that. Walked in the room, smiled at her. She, her first words was, how's my boy? And I said, he's doing great. I said, they're just, cleaning him up, adjusting a little bit of things. I said, you'll get to see him soon enough. She's like, I just want to hold him. I said, you will. And that right there just, I don't know, it screwed me up so bad. I ended up, I'm sitting there with her, and she's just shaking like something I've never seen before, and she can't control it.
Mhm.
Uh, so she's shaking, and then the doctor come back in, and they're like, hey, uh, Zach, you need to come here. I said, no, I'm thinking they're going to tell me he died. And I said, no, I get it. I
Mhm.
said, we'll talk here in a little bit. And she's like, no, you really, like, the baby's doing great. I said, stop that. I said, you're not going to do that. Cause I'm thinking she's like trying to be a part of the lie now or whatever. And
Sure.
it's like, all right, you're taking it a little too far. Uh, she's like, no, 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 really, come here. And so I go out there. One of the holes closed on its own, which I don't know how. But he had color, and his chest was not smacking. I've tried to Google. I've tried so much to try to show somebody to understand how that chest was just,
Mhm.
full, flat, so fast. And I couldn't. And I ended up going there, and he had color. And I was just like, holy crap. But he still had issues, but he didn't look like death.
Mhm.
Like, then we ended up going in there, and then we tell Madison, like, hey, he's got to go. So still at this time, Madison's like, no worry in the world,
Sure.
because nobody hinted the seriousness of this.
Mhm.
Like, hey, he's just having a problem and adjusting to the world. Like, nothing serious. We're just going to take him to the NICU.
Mhm.
She's like, okay. Well, while we're waiting on the ambulance, they go in there. They bring him into a little cylinder, and it's really why I have a tattoo right there. It's a,
Mhm.
it's a rocket ship, and
Mm.
that's basically like tattoos and stuff. That's what it's like, my life, my
Sure.
kids, and stuff like that. But they brought him in this little rocket ship, and we have a picture. So this lady that we hired captured all this stuff. Still to this
Mm.
day, I cannot look at those pictures,
Yeah.
just because I don't know, it's hard.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was standing above her. She did get to hold him for the first time, which um, would be, he was a boy.
Mhm.
He's my second to oldest. Um, but yeah, she did get to hold him, which was like the best thing in my life. Well, at this time, I guess, back up. At this time, we have custody of my oldest.
Okay.
So there's still a life that needs taken care of back home. Madison is in one hospital, our baby's in another, my other son's in another,
Mhm.
3 different counties.
Yeah.
And here I am supposed to work. Uh, so we're taking breast milk from the hospital to up to the NICU.
Mhm.
I'm getting to see the baby. You know, you see him in this little freaking neon lights, just crazy. He's got all this stuff hooked up to him. I'm trying to go back, be there for her, take care of that, go back, take care of, my son and all that stuff. So basically I'm exhausted at
Mhm.
this point. I'm mentally messed up to where I didn't even know that I was, traumatized and had the
Sure.
trauma with it. I would say wrong friend, right friend showed up at the wrong time, or wrong friend showed up at
Mhm.
the right time. However you want to word that, introduced me back into meth. And at
Mhm.
that time I am exhausted.
Mhm.
Um, Everybody's wanting me to pull this way. I'm tanked. I'm out.
Mhm.
Um, Ended up doing it. Thought I was on top of the world. And that is really where like it began, the dark side.
Mhm.
Uh, Madison is dealing with the trauma and the hurt and all what she's going through as a mother, first child. We're in the NICU. And here I am being a piece of crap.
How long was he in the NICU?
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And
So
you're already using meth during that time?
yes. About, I would say maybe a week while he was there.
Yeah.
I started getting into the hard stuff because I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
Not justifying it. I'm just saying that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And that's what I say is the devil works in the craziest ways any way he can.
Sure.
And it got a hold of me again. And I feel like now that I look at it, is God gave me so many opportunities to continue to follow him. He never turned his back on me through all this. He was always there. I felt like now that I see my journey, I've had so many breaks to where he tried to grab a hold of me and show me the way, but he'll never force you that way.
Mhm.
Um, because I just know in my journey that I've had gaps to where it's like, dude, I had an opportunity to change my life and I didn't. I screwed it up, went deeper. So it's like, to me, God will show you, you got to lose a little bit more. You got to go a little bit deeper. You got to, he would take this from me or this would happen. And I didn't take that opportunity to change my life. So it's like, man, I'm still not understanding. So here I am this far in life to where I have a beautiful life. I have a nice house, nice cars, nice job, make good money, have my son, um, had everything that should have changed your life.
Mhm.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
I just started getting into the drugs. Madison, like I said, she is so naive. And when I mean this is, she's such a great person. She
Mhm.
really is. And I manipulated her more than I've ever manipulated any person or anything in my life. And so she, we finally come home. We have all this stuff. Our kid's been poked more times than anything I could think of.
Mhm.
He ended up, the other hole closed, but then he ended up getting a virus or something and about dying again. They're trying to, he turned yellow. And they're trying to figure out, they're doing all these tests, never figure out what the heck is going on. So we're in and out of, so you're only in the NICU. Once you leave the NICU, you never go back. You go to PEDS.
Mhm.
So we're in and out of PEDS. I don't know, maybe for on and off first year or two of his life,
Yeah.
to where we're well known. Like, we know all the staff, like
Mhm.
they know what we like, know what we want. And the whole time she's dealing with that, um, the PTSD and just the mental thing that she had to go. I couldn't imagine what she had to
Mhm.
go through. And here I am manipulating her and making it worse because of the drugs that I were on.
Mhm.
And she had no idea what was going on. I was staying up all night. I'd lay in bed until she goes to bed and then I'm up. And then by the time she gets up, she'd be like, "Oh, you're already up?" And it's like, "Yeah, I got up a little bit early, couldn't sleep."
Mhm.
Lie, all this bull crap.
No idea that you stayed up all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, no idea. I ran around all over town, done this, done that, and now here I am back home. It's like you know, when the night hit, I was out, I was gone.
Yeah.
Uh, and then she started catching glimpse of it, questioning it and stuff like that. And she would find on my phone, I was talking to girls, I was doing this, the drugs. She thought I was on hard drugs, but she could never prove it. And I screwed her up. How I screwed her up the most is she had a drug screen she got from my older brothers. At this time, my family don't want nothing to do with me. Like they all turned their backs on me. I'd go over to my brother's and pass out for 2 straight days, just on his sofa, bent backwards in the weirdest spot. And it's like literally slept for 24 straight hours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was that. And how I screwed her up, she got a drug test from my older brother because he ran stores to where he'd do it for his employees.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me a drug test. So how drug tests work, obviously you guys probably well aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
You pee in a cup. There's multiple different styles. You can do a dipstick, all that stuff. But this one was the style to where you would pee in it and you'd push the side and then it would read the results. It would let the urine get down in there. Well, she's like, I know you're on this. I've seen this. So I got dope one time, and I say dope as in meth.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this meth, and it was fake. I got sold fake stuff. I don't even know what the heck it was, but it was like this freaking crystal that looked like meth before you break it up. Dude, it was like, I don't know what the heck it is. I still don't. It was plastic or something polished. So she's like, I know it is. It's this. And she would find my pipes here and there because I'd always smoke it or snort it. Never shot it. And then I was like, oh no, she'd find these pipes. What are these pipes for? Blah. She's like, I know it's not for weed, because she knew I smoked weed and I'd do my pills and stuff. I was like, oh, it's to smoke, my Adderall. I don't know if anybody ever knows, but try smoking Adderall, see what happens. That thing catches on fire. So here I am. I chop one up for her because she's starting to catch on. I'm not going to bed. Weight loss is, there.
Yeah.
But I was never the type that you honest to God, you would not know I was on it if I didn't drop weight. You wouldn't. I didn't, geek out my windows, talk to demons. I didn't do any of that kooky stuff. And we're sitting there and I'm like, oh yeah, the pipe. She's finding my pipe. She's finding, little thing, my baggies and stuff like that, my torches. But, I built cars, so it was normal. I was like, oh, the torches are for the wire, and then I was like, I start getting into that and I'm like, hey, I break up that Adderall and I put it in there. And I'm not kidding you. I smoked that sucker, but dude, it was a bonfire. I lit it up and I'm not kidding. That sucker caught on fire, dude, did things I've never seen. Cause obviously I've never done that. I knew it wouldn't work. And I was like, oh yeah, see, this is how it does. And I put some water in it. Thinking
Light your eyebrows off.
Dude, it just shot a flame out the top. And I was like, whew. And I took a hit of it and I said, see, that's what it's for, and put it away. And she's like, I'm serious. My wife is so good. She's so naive. She's like, oh, okay. Like, idiot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, man, another success to my manipulation. And then she pulled out that drug test like maybe months later or whatever. And like I said, at this time we have full custody of my son. Because his mom, and this is the wild thing, is because she got into the same drug that I am now in. And, but we already went through the courts. I have full custody of him, everything like that. So, and she is the best mom that I could ever imagine for any of my kids. And I never had this stuff around my kids, never had it in my house, none of that stuff, never had it in my car with my kids. I did it by myself, like isolated. And it was to cover up all the pain and all the stuff that I was going through. And it's not just what happened recently. This, what I've learned, this stuff goes all the way back, to your childhood. And it just balls up and I exploded. And I'm doing it. And she gives me that drug screen and we're talking. She's like, and I'm cooked. Dude, I am screwed if I do this drug screen, like the right way. So I'm sitting here talking. And I have Gatorade. I'm like, okay, I need something to drink. And I take the Gatorade. I'm drinking it. She's sitting like as close as we are, looking right at me, not taking her eyes off me. And I'm like, let me see the drug test to see how much I have to pee. Because I have to pee right now. I just don't know if it's enough. She gives me a drug test. And it's a cup. And like I said, it's a cylinder you got to push in. I'm sitting there talking to her. And she looks away for a split second. What I did was I had Gatorade. I spit into that cup real fast. Just spit in it. And as we're talking, I'm pushing that push pin. So the drug screen is reading the Gatorade.
Yeah.
Comes up all negatives. Once it's already read, it can't reread. Once you already have a double line, you can't take it away. But anyways, it already read. So then we go to the bathroom. She's like, I want to watch. So she literally watched piss come out into this cup, but it already read. Yeah. It already read the drug screen. I'm clean. Yeah. So I pee in this cup, turn it to her. She looks at it. It's all negatives. I seen the life come out of her. Because at this time, I've already manipulated her family. Her family hates me. I was taking pills from her stepdad, like taking them from him, going into their house, while we're having family time, taking them. So I'm already burning bridges. I've burned them. I'd burn anything for drugs. I'm going to my dad's, taking, their grandkids' freaking medicine and stuff. They're blaming it on my oldest brother. All it did, just the amount of hurt I did is just
stealing stuff at this time too, or
I would say I didn't start the stealing stuff until right here, like when me and Madison are going through what we're going through. Yeah. I had friends bringing me stolen stuff like that, but I never got into the theft. Like I haven't gotten to the legal side of like the hard stuff yet, because Madison, we're going back and forth. And when I showed her that drug screen, the life, like I watched it, it came out of her because she didn't know. She would have gave her life up to bet that I was on meth. And when I showed her that drug screen and she watched me pee in it and it came up negative, it's mind blown, because just that night,
she just didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Just that night, she's seeing messages of us talking in code language. And she found the fake meth that was crystal. And I showed her, I was like, dude, what do you mean? This is plastic. Because really that's all it was. Thankfully she found that. The pipe, bomb fired the freaking Adderall. So she had all the evidence to pinpoint that I am doing meth right now. And then when I do a drug screen right in front of her, what else are you supposed to think? Yeah. And it shows up negative. So it screwed her up. So now she believes me. I'm going to manipulate her to the fullest now. Now she can go fight for me for her family, even though I'm already kicked out of her parents' house. Because on my birthday, which would have been my 26th birthday, 25th, somewhere around there, I proposed to her. Most beautiful thing. Really loved it. She thought everybody was there for my birthday, but it wasn't. I proposed to her. And so we're engaged at this time.
How old's your second son?
He's probably 1 at this time, not even 1. And then my oldest is probably 5. So they are, I would say around there. They're 6 years apart. Okay. But yeah, so he's, I'm going back and forth. She's fighting for me now because her family would already not piss on me if I was on fire in fear to put me out.
Sure. Rightfully so, probably.
Yeah, no, they had every, right in the world to feel the way they did. They just wanted her away from me, is all they wanted. And now that I proved her wrong, now she's going to turn on her family. And that's what I wanted. I wanted anything that corrupted or made Madison not believe me to get away from her, to get out of her life. Mom about caused her mom and the only, her stepdad that's been in her life her entire life, almost a divorce over this, which is super sad. My family, basically, half of them are, into the stuff themselves or into a life, and they don't, the other half don't really care about me. Already turned their backs on me. instead of helping me, they were, putting me down.
Mhm.
But I understand they didn't know how to help. And at that time, there was no helping me. You're not helping somebody that don't want it.
Yeah.
And I I can preach that all day long. I've lived it. Um,
Can you like expand upon that, say for the parent that or the family member that's like or loved one that's got someone that's addicted, like that idea that you can't help someone that doesn't want help. It just seems like an impossible statement to the person that sees
yeah,
this
you seem
addict going through these issues.
you seem helpless. You seem like it's because you have so much emotion involved in love to where you don't want to let go, but you have to. I mean, you can only do so much. You do not want it to start destroying your life and affecting your life because all I would do is destroy your life with mine and keep going. I would never look back and help
Mhm.
because I have one goal and one goal only, and that's my drugs. Uh, if I can manipulate you, I would. If you have something that would better my life and my, crap situation, I'm going to try to take it. So I don't really get super mad at my family about it. It does hurt that they did that because I was always the guy that they would go to. I'm in high school working summer jobs. I bought my brother his first car. I would buy my brother groceries because he already had kids and a family at that time. I was using my paychecks to support him. I've always, anybody in my family could call me and I'd be there. I would give, my brother got in a freaking crash or something, DUI back in his crazy days. And, I'm out on felony bond and I'm telling him, hey, I was driving, potentially leaving the scene of an accident, just crazy stuff to where I'm always giving to them.
Mhm.
And then the time that I needed them, I didn't get nothing. I got kicked to the curb, trash talked me, did everything but help me. But I will say there's nothing they could have done that
Yeah.
like they couldn't help me.
Yeah.
But not everybody gets to, be here and understand that and look at that because most people that want to keep helping and helping, all you're doing is enabling them. Like
Yeah.
you're just feeding into their addiction. So you're just as bad as they are, especially when you're aware of it.
Mhm.
When you know the money that you give them or the help that you give them, where it's going, by just saying, I'm just trying to keep them alive and all that, it's BS.
Yeah.
It really is. It's BS. If you're trying to keep them alive, then turn them into the law. Let them sit in there. They have you have only two options. That's to get help, or you're going to end up in a cell or a box. I mean, so three options. That's your three options. When you're so far down in the dumps, and your future, all you're thinking about is not retirement or being the old people sitting on a porch drinking coffee. All my future looked like was prison or death.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
I mean, I got so deep into it, to where I would sit there and count how many people would show up to my funeral.
Yeah.
I just didn't care. And that's where got deep into it and then, got into the legal side.
Yeah.
Because Madison ended up, she left me.
Yeah.
She got her own place, which rightfully so.
Mhm.
I don't blame
She
her.
take both kids with her.
She did.
Yeah.
Even though the one, I had full custody, I had all power. And that's the thing is I knew what I was doing was not okay.
Yeah.
It's like God always had, one hand on me, but like I said, he does not, he leads you to the doors and the opportunities, but he doesn't force you to do them. And I didn't, my son deserved to be with her. That was the best place for him, the safest place. She was, and that's what kind of made it a little bit worse, I would say, because I knew my kids were taken care of.
Mhm.
She, at this point, knows I'm into drugs.
Mhm.
You can only hide it for so long.
Yeah. When you say like her leaving, taking both kids, like now it's like full, no strings attached. Like,
Oh, dude, it was like, chains were ripped off. I am hell on wheels now.
Yeah.
It was nothing holding me back.
Well, I hope you join us for part 2 on this interview. Man, we really start going deep, deep, deep into, the pit of addiction and what that truly looks like and crime and running from the cops and burglary and police chases and, gets down to trying to take his own life. And then ultimately, what does treatment and recovery look like? Now he's, been sober for over 5 years. And so we really start diving into what does that look like to rebuild a life when you've went that low for that long. And I just hope you'll join us for part two. And it's fascinating to hear his story and just to see, how God's worked in his life and continues to work in his life.